Hey everybody, welcome back. Hollywood Pizza here. And we've got a special treat for you. We've actually got our first episode of the Cold Pizza podcast. That's right. We're just here to bullshit around today. We're just going to be talking about all different kinds of things. You're going to get to know a little bit more about what we do here at the channel, who we personally are, considering, a lot of the time we're just like, hey, check out the channel, check out the videos, do this, do that. Well, you know what? We're going to give you a reason to have to do that today. So, besides that, we're also going to talk about what kind of games we normally play, um, games under inebriation,
Yeah.
and we're going to go over some MTG topics as well, considering that a lot of you are here for MTG. So, that's definitely going to be mixed in there as well. If you haven't already, definitely check out all of our content. Let us know what you think of this episode. Let us know if this is something that you enjoy, if this is something that you want to watch more of, anything like that. And the first thing you're going to notice is that my setup's a little bit different than normal. I am moving a bit, so I'm getting more situated and kind of getting more adjusted to what the post move is going to be like here in terms of content creation. But today I'm joined by HamHawks42 and HearSayTTV, of course, the three amigos here, as per usual. How are you guys doing today?
I'm good, man. How you doing? How you making out, baby?
I'm doing great, just chilling, chilling.
Love it. Yeah, no, man, I'm killing it. It's a little late here, but I got a beverage. I got good friends. I mean, I'm living the dream.
I mean,
Absolutely living the dream.
we're gonna pretty silly. I was kind of debating like, should I be smoking? Should I go get a joint or like take a rip of the bong or something? And
Yeah, it was
we're
super loose, man. Like, yeah, let's go for it.
we're just getting like this loose. Let's get weird.
But yeah, mostly just chilling. Me personally, I'm just moving into my girlfriend's house, and I just started full time at my job. Outside of that, I usually just do lots of just content in general between streaming and just trying to pump out these YouTube videos on the daily or every few days. Um, yeah, that's mostly like what I do. Bank teller by day, streamer by night. Pizza man for 10 years. I really miss making pizzas, but I still make them at home. So
I mean,
it's
and
still
pizza's just
replaced. I just don't make 100 pizzas a day,
yeah.
Sure. No, there's something about a homemade pizza though. When you like get the dough going by, and, oh man, like there's nothing quite. It's amazing the quality difference between an ordered pizza, which is fine. There's nothing wrong
Mm.
with delivery pizza or carry out pizza. Like, no problem with that at all. Or frozen pizza, even if that's your jam. Pizza's great, but
Pizza's great. But you know
pizza's great.
what is okay? So do you guys have any like what's your like niche like not what is something you don't like about pizza? So first for an example, I'll give you an example. So I don't like the fucking pea meal or cornmeal that fucking some pizza joints use, like Pizza
Mm.
Hut or Domino's. That fucking like shitty dust that they put on the bottom of the fucking pizza. So I
Yep.
get it, so it doesn't stick or whatever have you. But it's like grainy fucking bullshit on my fucking hands. I hate that fucking garbage.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I'll be honest, actually, when it comes to pizza, I'm definitely a sauce guy. So
Mm.
like extra cheese is not my jam, which I know is like for some people absolutely love that stuff. Obviously, they charge you more for it, right?
Mm.
But for me, like I don't know about I don't generally go light cheese. I'm not that hardcore, but because I mean, like just a little light sprinkling of cheese, okay, maybe get a little bit more on there. But like the big globs of cheese, not my jam, not my thing.
Like
I do not
wait a
love it
minute,
when
you don't like the cheese pull? The cheese pull is where it's
I'm not a big
at.
fan of the cheese pull because the cheese
Man, the
pull
cheese
slap it on the chin.
Wow.
I'm not like I know that's like
Ah.
I know I'm crazy, right? But yeah, no, and actually I
Are
like
you
my pizza
lactose
cold
at
too.
all? Are you
No,
lactose
I
at all?
don't. No, I
Listen,
have no problems with
I'm
that.
I'm
Okay.
lactose, and that's fucking future hearsay's fucking problem. Fuck that guy. Fuck that guy. He doesn't look out for anyone but himself. Fuck that
Said
guy. He
every
deserves
lactose
it.
intolerant person ever. That's literally like the
Yeah.
biggest quote, right?
I'll
It's like
listen.
I'll
Like
worry about it
honestly, like I
later.
used to be a huge cereal guy, and I love cereal to the most, but like I can't have it as much as I would. But when it comes to fucking pizza or like fucking nachos, like fuck that guy in the future. I'm fucking eating this shit. Fuck that guy's asshole.
And then, cut to the next day, like, why the fuck, man?
Yeah.
Past me is a dick.
Fucking your legs just shaking on the fucking shitter, like, oh god, fuck.
Oh man.
Oh,
But
man.
yeah, what's up with you guys? Tell us a little bit about what you guys do. What's been going on in your life recently.
Oh
Man.
man. I've had a crazy fucking month or two. So for those who don't know, my real name is Kyler, and obviously my Twitch name is Hearsay. I did that on a thing like the word on the street, blah blah blah, like what's going on, because I'm a full-time chef, and you always hear like the gossip on what's going on and what's this and blah 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 blah. Like that's just what the industry's all about. You're here from all the city. Like if you ever want to know people in a city, become a cook, get into the serving industry, do whatever, because you're gonna know everyone in that town for good reasons and for bad reasons.
Nice.
I definitely can feel that, man. I haven't worked in the restaurant. I definitely don't miss it. I like the bank teller job where I just get to chill there and kind of just talk to people and hand them the money and leave, and that's kind of just all that there really is. And you do some side work, and it's a nice, easy, breezy job. There's no real, minimum stress, right? Low stress, right? So,
until someone comes in, put the money in the bag.
Yeah, I mean, I had this lady the other day. She was kind of just like out of control, honestly. I don't know what it was, but she just wasn't. She kind of just had a snippy attitude, but it's whatever. I mean, even then, I kind of just like laugh it off because I'm like, man, it's like, get a life, dude. You're like 90. It's like, you know what I mean?
It's a customer service job, right? You're gonna get. I mean, they're gonna be those people. It's just part of the deal. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, whatever. I guess you're just gonna be like this, and then 20 minutes or however long interaction is, it's over, and we get to move on.
Yeah,
that's pretty.
I get that. But no, like I know what you're saying though, because like I'm working at a restaurant right now. I'm working part time there. I'm not, so I'm doing a little bit of, and I do a little bit of everything. It's a small kind of hole in the wall family joint, and so if somebody comes in and nobody else is at the counter, I seat people, I get the drinks, that kind of stuff. And then like half the time it's not uncommon for me to walk somebody to their table, give them the silverware, take their drink order, and then go cook their food. Like I just do a little bit of everything.
Been there, yeah.
It's one of those places, and we all do. It's like I'm not the only one doing that. It's just part of the deal, which is fine. It keeps things interesting. But like most of the time, I am just like heads down at the grill, just get the burgers out, and just keep things moving. Is usually what I'm doing. But I can tell the people who are on the floor more frequently, like they know everybody that steps into that joint. They've got everybody's regulars down. They know all the comings and goings. I've heard a lot of like whispered conversations. Like everybody knows what's going on. In
what
that
your drink
like,
is. And also, I don't think there's anything better than walking into a bar and they already have your drink ready for you.
Yeah, like we saw you coming. Here you go. Like
there's my dad's always told me like there's two reasons why to change your bar. Like why to never go to the same bar twice, like more often than you should. Because then it's like the tell sign is like when they greet you by name. And when they like before you sit down at the bar, like your drink's already there. Like that's when you know you've gone there too much. I'm like, no, that's the perfect amount of time. I don't have to communicate. I don't have to I just show up and my drink is there. That sounds perfect.
Yeah, 100%. Well, and it's very much that kind of place. Very much that kind of place. And it's fine. It's paying the bills for now. But I will be honest. Like I stream 5 days a week right now, and I'm also putting out YouTube content pretty regularly. Here and over on my own channel, and trying to make that work. And I do have some things in the works that I'm hopeful that I'll be able to put the restaurant life behind me before too long. We'll see how long that actually takes, but I don't know. One of these days, man. One of these days. Yeah.
Hey, like we're all gonna get there. Like,
exactly.
I love cooking too much. Like I know, like I've already been doing it. I'm almost 18 years now, so like I know that like cooking's not leaving. It's not going anywhere.
Nice.
But it's fun to think about it sometimes. You're like, you know what? Fuck this place.
Right. Yeah, and even if it's just like, well, this restaurant can go get bent, like like
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh
totally.
wait, Hollywood, we didn't get your one thing. What you don't like about pizza?
Oh,
Oh,
true.
okay,
I
Yeah.
yeah.
got. I definitely got to hear this because you're the pizza guy.
I'm gonna throw my real name too because I actually don't normally say it too often. I feel like I need to get more used to saying it. I like being
You have a dope name
that
too.
public
Like,
It's true.
person. But yeah, my name's Ephraim. Ephraim. A lot of people kind of don't know how to say it at first. I get a lot of Ephraims or Ephraims or
get some
like
E friends, eh?
I'll tell someone how to say my name like 3 times because they're like, "Oh, how do you say your name?" I'm like Ephraim or nice to meet you. Hey, nice to meet you. My name's Ephraim. They're like, "Oh, what's your name again?" Ephraim, and they're like, "How do you say it?" And I'm like Ephraim, and then they're like, "Can I just call you E?" Or they kind of like this lady I had at the drive-thru the other day. She like I told her my name. She's like, "Oh, I didn't know, blah blah blah. You were working here." And I was like, "Yeah, whatever." And then she like asked my name, and I was like, "Oh, it's Ephraim." And she asked me again how to say it 2 more times. And then she said, "Oh," and then she like turned her head and looked straight ahead, but
Oh
like didn't
yes.
say my name. You know what I mean? It's like, "Oh, that's unpronounceable. I definitely can't do that one." But yeah, I go by Ephraim, E if you want to go by short, which I like as well. I definitely have come accustomed to. But my least favorite thing about if someone cooks a pizza for me or if I go get a pizza at a restaurant or whatever is when it's not cooked. I
Mm.
really, really hate
Oh, like gummy
when the
dough.
crust is actually kind of like
Oh.
golden brown because if it's golden, it actually means it's not cooked all the way. You want it to be like dark.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
want
Mm.
it to not
You
burnt,
gotta have
but
those
you want it to be
not burnt,
dark,
but like yeah, like really dark or like even have like not and like black isn't burnt. Like that those
Hmm.
pieces like that's just color, that's charcoal, that's flavor, that's nom, nom, nom,
Yeah,
nom,
it's just
nom.
the oven grease getting on it. It has nothing to do with what
Yeah.
it's actually going to be like tasting like, really.
Mm.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But no,
No,
that's
that's a
fair.
good one though. I think we've all had
Undercooked
the
dough.
gummy dough experience. It's not.
And
That's a bad
uncooked
time.
dough is bad for you too. So I mean, you
Oh, it's
can get
awful.
sick. Like you can get sick from it and just have like a bad experience with your stomach. So I mean,
Mm.
honestly, I'm not gonna lie. I'm from New Jersey, and a lot of these Jersey pizzerias have been getting lazy
Oh
and
shit.
Mm.
not
Oh
finishing
shit,
the
Jersey.
pizzas.
You're
Yeah,
serving no
man.
shitty pizza.
Yeah, they've been getting lazy. I'm not gonna lie. Like yeah, my dad's been freaking out about it. He's like, I can't believe they gotta finish cooking the pizza. But that's my number one thing that I don't like when I go out and get pizza is that it's not cooked. If it's not cooked,
Mm.
I'm just like, what are we doing here? Like, why? Just all you have to do is just leave it in there for like 2 or 3 more minutes. I mean, if you got a problem, start setting timers. Like, I don't know.
Yeah,
Like,
you're making
Right.
pizza. You're making pizzas. Like, come on, like take that, put that a little bit of love in there, man.
exactly.
Absolutely.
I'm still kind of flabbergasted that Ham doesn't like the cheese pull, Ephraim.
I'm not. I mean, I know.
I
I
mean,
know.
it's cheese. I mean, I get it. Cheese is kind of like
There's got to be the
I
right balance. There's got to be the right balance of cheese.
yeah.
That's what it is. Yeah.
I think
Like
I
pretty
used
much,
to like all
you're
of it.
watching Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and you see that Muggy's has a big nice slice. He has that cheese pull, and you're like, ugh, gross.
Kinda. Yeah. Actually, like, I mean, like, I can see that makes him happy. So, like, all right, rock on, do your thing, man. But like, yeah, not for me. Yeah.
Do you guys okay? So I'm from Canada, and I don't know. Do you guys down the states? Do they do like the dough ball?
What do you mean? What does that
Define
mean?
dough ball.
Oh, if you guys don't know what the dough ball is, then you don't do it. Okay, so you know everyone's the fucking shitty plastic table that goes in the
Hmm.
pizza box,
Mm-hmm.
so so the cardboard doesn't hit the top of the box. So in Canada, most of the joints use what we call as a dough ball, which they roll up the dough and they put it right in the middle of the fucking pizza, so that it absorbs all the grease and it acts as that table as well.
Huh.
Lives have been lost over this dough ball. Let me tell you, it's something that's been fought about. It's delicious.
Yeah, I've
Nice.
actually never we don't do that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I've never seen that.
Yeah, I never seen that before. That's actually
Hmm.
pretty
and
interesting.
another thing too is like the was it that pizza table that that you guys use is
Hmm.
it's used to pull away the slice too without like breaking it.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Huh.
Okay.
Actually, I've never done that. It makes a lot of sense, though.
Yeah, it's meant to like it holds the pizza like the slice or like the pizza in place, and then you pull your slice away, and then the table holds everything else.
Oh, see, when I open the
okay.
box and that little thing is in there, I like take like fuck this thing.
Everyone
Yeah,
takes
my
it
first
and
instinct
they're like,
is
that's garbage.
throw
That's
that shit in the
garbage.
trash and eat the
Mhm.
pizza. That's like my first
Yeah.
thought. Yeah.
Yep.
Now, how do you guys eat pizza? Are you guys like, do you like taco it?
I fold it. Yeah, I fold it.
Yeah, you fold it.
Yeah, it depends on how big the slice is, honestly,
Mhm.
and it also depends sometimes like how the toppings are because sometimes when I fold it, it kind of just gets too messy at the same time. But I'm a folder. I got that New York fold or whatever you want to call it. Like that's just how I eat the pizza. It's
See, my sister is a psychopath. She rolls her slice up like it's a fucking tube or something, and then eats it like this. It's fucking weird.
Okay, that's a new one for me. I've never heard of that.
Yeah.
No, I'll do the fold if the slice allows for it. Like if it's a particularly wide slice and the crust is thin enough to get the fold on, I'll definitely go for that. But if the crust is too thick and the fold is kind of tricky, then I just get the thumb under the midsection.
Yeah.
And go ahead.
Do you guys, when you guys get pizza, do you eat it right away, or do you like give it a minute? Because I know like sometimes like, you're really hungry and you know that fucking pizza's gonna hit the right way, and you take that first bite and that fucking salami hits you on the fucking face. You're like, oh fuck, that's it's hot.
That's bad. That's a bad time for sure.
It doesn't bother me that bad. I don't know. I'm used to eating shit at like 700 degrees at this point.
I've been known, like, if I'm really hungry, I have been known to get like, it's not uncommon for me to like stop by like a pizza place like on my way home from work or something and just get a pizza for later. And while I'm just driving and it's just sitting there in the passenger seat, it's like, I'll just take one of these right now and just go for it. And that moment happens quite a bit where it's just like, oh, wow, hot. Yeah. It's a bad time because then also if you burn your mouth, you're not going to enjoy the rest of it, even when it is at an appropriate temperature, which is just no good.
You just got to build it up, I'm telling you, got to build it up.
Build up the calluses, right?
I'm telling you. Yep.
You guys go tip first, or you guys friggin' psychopaths and eat the crust first?
Nah, tip first all day.
It's got to be tip first, man. It's got to be
tip first. I ain't messing around with that crust. You know
what?
The
crust corner, and
I could see it if it's like this. I don't know what a chain, big corporate chain does it, but like the one where you can pull apart the crust, right? Where the crust is like this little stuff.
Oh, it's just like
isn't that a
thing?
Yeah, it's like its own little
pizza thing, or like
maybe it is a pizza thing, but like I feel like at that point, yes, I could see myself potentially eating the crust first, just because it's going to be impossible to even eat the slice because it's going to pull apart from it, so it's going to be a mess. So I could see myself having to eat the crust there first.
Yeah, that's when I saw that product. That was one of those where I was like, "Who the hell is that for?" Because if I'm holding, like, that's the handle. You're telling me the handle on my pizza might just fall off.
It's an appetizer. No, your handle's an appetizer, Ham. It's not that it's your handle anymore. It's 2022,
man.
Ham. It's an app now. Like,
no, and also that's another thing I find fascinating. I love how like with certain cuisines, like okay, so we have this gigantic disc of bread. Let's put some sauce, some cheese, and some other good stuff on top of that, right? But at its core, what is it? It's your gigantic disc of bread. What can we possibly serve this with? Well, clearly more bread. Like that's I love how like the breadsticks on the side of pizza. That's just accepted. We all just do that.
Oh man, listen, like
it's delicious. I love it. I'm just saying, like I find that hilarious.
I am a sucker for Domino's. They get me every fucking time. That fucking cheesy bread that they have is fucking crack. That fucking I fuck the marinara sauce. I want the ranch, and I'm just fucking just scoop it up. Oh my goodness, bread on bread. I'm all about it.
No, don't get me wrong. I love it too, and like my physique is testament to how much I love bread. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. I just find it funny. That's all. Yeah. Well, and I find the same thing with like burgers and fries. It's like, what would you like with all of your saturated fat? How about some more saturated fat? Like, yes, please, I'll take it. Like, I'm totally on board.
Yeah, can you actually like cover it in fat, cook it in fat, and then
fat it up.
Garnish it with fat, please.
Yeah. Yes, please. That sounds great. Let's do it.
And then like, oh man, like, this thing, like another thing too is, like speaking about like the pizza table and how it's meant to pull apart, and it's also like the separator. Do you guys know that like McDonald's and like places that have the full, like, what your burger's in? I had no idea that was like, I just thought that was like a box. That's what it is. But that box is supposed to go on top of the fucking drink, and then you have your fries on one side, and then your freaking burger on one side, and you have it like one big thing, so you can hold it in one hand.
What?
Oh, I think I have actually
Right?
seen that
Like,
before.
isn't that so insane to think?
Someone
No,
did
I
that
had no idea.
before. Yeah, I've seen it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Huh.
I was like, there's just so many things in the world that you see. You're like, there's no way. And you're like, that's actually a thing.
Huh.
Convenience is king, #1 all time.
Oh,
Convenience.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I gotta have it. I gotta have it now, and I gotta have it as fast as I can get it.
Very true.
So what games are you guys playing?
Dude, I'm playing so much Magic, it's not even funny. Like, and it's not just on my channel. Like, I am hopelessly addicted to that game. Which I think like I want to
all
of us
are,
my
actually.
content.
Wizard just kind of like looks at their daily, like how they're getting their money. Like, oh, yep, Ham's on. Looks like we get $100 from Ham.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, you're not wrong. Well, and it's funny too because then like they'll send out those like every like 2-3 months they'll send out the little like when a new set comes out. There's like here's your recap for the like Kamigawa Standard.
Yeah. How many packs have you opened up? 1,000 something packs. You're like, motherfucker.
Yeah, I had a couple where it was just like the number of packs you opened up. I was like, Jesus, I'm not sharing this because people would look at that like, are you okay? Like, no, clearly not. And then it's like, and you've played X number of games, which is 99% more than other.
Yeah, that's my favorite. I love that.
When
I love when it says 99%
right.
more. I'm like, yeah, that's awesome.
When I see
know
the
I'm doing
amount of
good.
games played, and I'm an all right Magic player. I get it. I know the play patterns, blah 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 blah, and like what to mulligan for, and blah 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 blah.
Sure.
But I'm not a consistent mythic getter, whatever you want to say it. And there's nothing worse than getting that recap, that monthly recap or like the set recap, and it's like you've played 90,000 games and you're in gold.
Yeah, it's like your top rank was Platinum 4, and
yeah. Like, oh sweet, thanks.
Wow. All right, great. Yeah.
Looks like I've been janking off the entire season.
I've been there. I've absolutely been there. Yeah.
I've been lucky to be the one in Mythic with like the 600, 700, whatever.
Yeah, no, you're definitely
8,000 games played. It's just like holy shit. It's like that's like you like realize how much Magic you play when you really are trying to go for ranked. Because I remember, and I think that's like the difference between online and paper, kind of, right? Like, we just play so much more Magic now.
You play so much more, like literally
not even
so
funny.
much.
Your game's over and you can jump right into another game. I mean,
you get right into another one.
Paper isn't like that, right? Like paper, it's like we gotta wait for the round to end. Oh my god, it's a control mirror. Oh, of course they went to time. And then now, it's like a half hour later, you went to Wendy's, you're hanging out, and you haven't even played another game of Magic yet, right?
Well, when you really think about it, like how much time? So like when you go out, say like like your LGS probably only has 2 days designated to the format that you actually play, right? And then that format is only like probably 3-4 hours long, and then you're probably playing maybe 5 games in that session. Maybe like on Arena, you can play an hour and you've put in like 10, 15 games easy. Oh, you're playing aggro? 20 games. You're playing control?
Right.
1.
Yeah, you're still only gonna get one game. I picked up
one game in.
I picked up Is It the other day, and I was like, oh yeah, I can knock out a YouTube video in like 45 minutes. 45 minutes later, after the first match and a loss,
Dude,
I was like, I think I'm done
the first
recording
match.
this
Like
video.
you're playing a best of 3, and it's the first game 1.
Yeah, no, that's the worst. No, it's so funny too when I'm filming videos. I'm like, okay, how many games can I reasonably get in here? Because usually I'll play 3 games and like it kind of or I'll end up if the deck is like really sucking eggs, I'll play like 7 or 8, and I'll pick 3 that like kind of tell a story or kind of like
show the
work.
deck. Yeah,
show the deck off exactly. Then I'll put those together. But for a couple of decks that I put out recently,
don't get it twisted. For you guys watching, we're not out here winning.
Oh no,
we're going 30-0.
I am. I am though.
Well, yeah, Hollywood is.
I
am. My 30, like 38 and 15. I think I'll take that. I'll take my 69% win rate right now.
Yeah. Nice.
I think I'll do that one.
That's pretty great. Yeah, no, see, I'm not gonna like. Actually, it's funny. I got a deck tracker, so I got the Untapped GG deck tracker just so I can keep an eye on my win rate and see which decks are working, what decks aren't.
Whoa, they're not sponsoring the podcast.
They're not, but hey,
Don't bring
Untapped,
up
get
names
at us
here.
because yeah.
Shout outs to Untap. I ain't gonna lie. Shout outs to Untap, bro.
No, they do great work. Yeah,
They're always
exactly.
crushing it. I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah, not a sponsor, but they do.
A
Good
sponsorship would be cool though.
I know, okay,
shout
like,
out to,
like 100%. But yeah. But no, they do great work, and I know my personal overall win rate is just garbage because I'm playing with weird janky decks and I'm trying to get them to work.
Mm-hmm.
And the problem is when I play a deck that's not working, I play more of it and try to figure out how it works until I've been playing it for like 6 fucking hours and finally decide, okay, this idea is clearly flawed. Like it just can't work. And then I click delete.
It's hilarious.
Oh, my community rocks. I love it.
I love jumping in on your morning streams and your community is just going off. And it's like, and Ham, you're so open to brewing jank. It's so fun.
Oh yeah, we do dumb stuff, man.
I'll like roll into your channel at like 7 in the morning. And I'm like, oh, what's Ham doing? Oh, he's playing Hollow Fountain. What is he like? What is going on here?
Hey, Ham got some wins.
Ham's been live for 8 hours playing Hollow Fountain. And I'm like, how many wins you got? 3.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's the funny part when he goes back to like my homepage and you see the daily wins. It's like, yeah, live for 7 hours, 3 wins.
Yeah.
I'm like, yep, we're making it work. Damn it, we're gonna figure this out.
That's a win. We take those. We take
those. Like that's the best when you log in. Like your opponent misses their second land drop and they just scoop. It's like, yeah, hey, I'll take it. We gotta win.
And that's like another thing too that I laughed, like the comparison of online versus in real life playing Magic. When you're online, I feel like the mana screw and like the mana flood is so much real online versus it in real life. I don't think I've ever in my life played paper Magic and drawn 7 lands in a row. I've done it. I've done it consistently on Arena, and I'm like, you gotta be fucking kidding me.
It happened to me in the finals of like a PPTQ or whatever all that other shit is.
Bites,
like
man.
I drew like I was playing Coco Humans back in the day, and I legit drew 5 or 6 lands in a row. Lost the first game. The next game, I mulligan, draw 4 lands in a row, and lost that one too. So yeah, I mean,
damn, dude.
My what I always find crazy is like it happens to me on Arena, and I do make the joke sometimes on the stream, or I say it, I guess, kind of serious sometimes, where I'm like, this will never happen. But in reality, me drawing 7 lands happens all the time in real life. It happens to me a lot more than you would think, which is weird. And then I look at the hand, and I'm like, even in real life, I'm like, this is unreal. I'm like, what? Yeah. This is unreal.
It's just like,
but it happens. You know, it happens.
I don't know. There's been times in Arena where I look at my hand. I'm like, okay, 4 lands, 3 spells, good curve. This is sweet. This is like this easy money.
Oh, 4 lands, you're gonna flood, guaranteed on Arena. 4 lands, you're always gonna flood.
Lands,
2 lands, almost always.
Lands,
every time.
Lands, and I'm just like, come on, please, anything but a land.
It's so funny.
Land,
dude. I've had moments like that where I've had the 4 land hand, but I've had like Expressive Iteration, Voltaire and Epicure, Fable, the Mirror Breaker. Like, okay, I'm gonna draw just a ton of lands, but I'm gonna be able to chuck all of them and just keep churning. Doesn't matter. Still hitting more lands.
More
lands.
Yep.
Everyone, welcome to my only lands. Please subscribe.
Just
right, exactly.
Flooding hard.
No, it happens. It happens. Yeah.
Or like you're like, okay, this is a good hand. I got 2 lands, great curve in my hand. I just need 1 more land. I get that 3rd land, and I'm this game's mine. I'm fucking crushing. 10 draws in, no land. You're like, I'm running 27.
It happens though. That stuff is brutal. That's actually why I actually think in real life, that's why you don't want to keep those hands, is because realistically speaking, if you only have 2 lands, so like it really even depends on where you drew the cards, right? Like if you're drawing raw, like 1, 2, 3, you can actually see where your lands were right in the draw. I know this is like me getting kind of crazy about it, but like you can almost determine that there's probably too much of a clump where you're shuffling.
Yeah.
And you're not gonna hit your land drops, so you probably shouldn't keep that hand, right? That I think that,
Okay,
that things like
interesting.
that are probably like where I used to find myself, where I'd look at it and be like, well, it's probably like in a space where I'm not going to draw land. So like, why am I going to keep this hand and expect to hit it when I
I can just see
know
you now,
that
like
we've
having
already
your hand.
hit
You're
4 or
like, yep,
5 cards
this
like
hand
in a
looks
row?
clumpy.
Yeah, it's like I would look at it and be like, right. It's like it doesn't look good. Like it's already a questionable hand, and on top of that, it's like, do I really want to take that risk? Like, how maybe it was, even though you can sit there, rifle shuffle, pile shuffle, however
Mhm.
everybody likes to do, whatever. Like, and however you want to randomize it, like you can still hit those spots where your lands clump because 25%, well, almost 50% of your deck's lands, right? 25
Mm.
lands at least
Yeah, good chunk of it. Yeah.
minimum. So, right, 25 out of 60. I mean, yeah, you're looking at like a third of your deck's just lands. So you do have a chance of clumping a lot of those into one spot, or having your other cards clump into one spot, and then your draws aren't so good. At least that's how I would look at it, because that to me, that was like the best determinant of whether or not you want a mulligan in standard.
Mm.
In other formats, I feel like it's a little bit different because you do end up having a lot of shuffle effects. Like, let's say you got some fetch lands, and okay, yeah, your shuffle effects may end up changing how your deck plays out, or etc., etc. Your curve, what your open hand, cards in your open hand, all kinds of that stuff. So I don't know. I think that like there are a lot of differences between real life and online.
Mm.
I think
Well,
for
and
me, I
also
like the
like also
convenience
in real
more.
life too, like you can
Mhm.
bluff players a lot easier. And also this for the folks just listening. Crispy.
Love it.
Crack one
But
open.
in real life, you can bluff other players of like what they want to do, especially when you're playing against control players. You can kind of like, oh, you would counter this spell. Hmm, 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 hmm. Oh no! Boom! Like then you lay like you can. There's better reads when you're in person. Where online, like you're gonna do the best play possible. Like in you're always thinking of what you want to do online and like your game plan versus like, okay, I need them to counter this spell, so I'm gonna bait with this and then follow up with this kind of thing. And you have that like mind game with someone in real life versus online.
Yeah, and I feel like Wizards did a good job of trying to bring some of that into Arena with like the way that priority
Like
Cards
casting
priority
highlight.
check, yeah,
clauses.
the priority
Yeah.
checks, yeah.
Yeah, full control, and then also the fact that when you mouse over a card, it lights up, so your opponent
Mhm.
you can see when you're looking at their stuff.
Yeah.
So those little things, which is my favorite, by the way, when I'm playing in an older format and I jam a card like Nullhide Ferox that people just haven't seen in forever. Like with the moment you jam it and there's like that
That's a magic
pause
card.
and then it
Yeah.
lights up. Yeah, like that's
Yeah.
my favorite. Where it's like, yeah, you have no idea what this does. I know
Yeah,
what
yeah,
this
they
does.
have to read it. They sit there and you're like, oh, okay, yeah, they're definitely just reading the card.
Actually, with Nullhide Ferox specifically, I've had this moment a few times recently because I am running it in one of my Explorer decks right now.
Card
Your
sweet.
opponent thought seizes you, goes 6/6, no bad, must discard, and then they discard the Nullhide Ferox and it goes right to the
Without reading
battlefield.
it, without
Yeah.
reading the
Without
card.
reading it,
Read the
yeah.
card, dude.
Yeah.
Oh
It's
no.
I
beautiful. I love it.
remember one of my favorite cards. So I'm not typically a blue player, by no means. But
Mhm.
when I do play blue, I play the fucking jank out of it. I play
Yes.
cards that you just don't know what it does. I play like cards like Mana Maze. Like the Mana Maze says you can't play the same colored spell in concession. So basically, if you play a red spell, you cannot play another spell that is red. So you have to play a colorless spell or a different color. So it forces you, like if you're against a monocolor deck, they are fucked. It's an enchantment. I think it's 2 mana.
Yeah, it's one in a blue. It's from Invasion.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
yeah, beautiful.
that's when I start playing blue. Like my two favorite blue cards is obviously, if you guys know my channel, is Zer's Weirding. I think Zer's Weirding is so much fun. Being able to play with your hands revealed and then you draw a card. Any player can pay 2 life, and that card goes to the graveyard. And you don't get a draw. So go fuck yourself. That's just like a really go fuck yourself card. I really love it. But my all-time favorite blue card that is so funny, Ham, I want you to look this up and read this.
You got it. Okay.
It's called Web of Inertia. And
That sounds familiar. Yes, I had one of these back in the day.
everyone fucks this card up. And if you are playing against aggro, I'm telling you, this card will fuck people up when you're playing it, especially in blue. It is the best kind of propaganda ghostly prison card. It just says you have to do something before you go into your combat, and if you do not, you can't attack. And there's no going back. The minute you are in your combat phase, you can't attack. Read it out there, man. Read it out for the folks in the back.
Original ruling. At the beginning of each opponent's combat phase, that player may remove a card in his or her graveyard from the game. If the player doesn't, creatures he or she controls can't attack you this turn. So what it's saying is, the new text says that player may exile a card from their graveyard. So they have to just lose one card out of their graveyard, which isn't a big deal. Like, that's not a big price to pay, especially in like an aggro deck that doesn't give a shit about its graveyard. Like, whatever. They may have like a burn spell or something in there and that's just one card. And everybody is like free and clear to swing it. But to your point, that's the beginning of combat step is when they need to do that.
Yeah.
So if they say, okay, I'm going to go to combat, I'm going to attack you with this. They've already moved to the declare attacker phase.
Moved to declare attacks. Nope, you don't get to attack me.
You can't. Sorry, dude. Like, yeah.
Yeah. So I have a fuck. It's been so long since I pulled it out. What is the Demir? It's a god. It's the mill EDH commander.
Oh,
Phalanx? No, not Phalanx. What's it called?
Yeah, I think it is something like that. I just can't remember what it is. Phalanx?
No, it's not Phalanx. What is it called? Fuck. It's way back in the back. I'm not even gonna go grab the deck, but it mills you. And
it's like for toughness, right? It's like you could tap untap creature and mill them for toughness or something.
Every creature has the ability to tap, mill target opponent equal to its toughness, I think.
Mill you. Yeah. So I like to run that with like Leyline of the Void. So they don't get it. They don't have a graveyard, and then you have Web of Inertia, and it's a lock. You can never attack me.
Oh, because I don't have cards to exile.
Because you don't have cards to exile.
That's awesome. Wow, and it's
awesome,
Fennex, God of Deception.
Fennex, yeah. So Fennex, you end up milling, and then if you have Leyline of the Void, there's no graveyards for anyone to exile cards from, and then you just start milling them. So like you're never going to be able to attack me, and it's just a fucking sweet lock, and that's the kind of shit when I play blue. That's the kind of shit that I do when I play blue.
Well, and Web of Inertia notably is an uncommon from Judgment. Man, things were weird.
Such a good card.
Magic used to be so different, right?
Oh, it used to be so different. Like, imagine the fucking cards from like Ice Age and upwards were just ridiculous. It's like Wizard was just like, what kind of broken shit you want to do?
Kinda, yeah.
We're a new game. Let's do some broken shit.
Well, and that's the funny thing too, though, is because there are cards like that where they just like fundamentally just crack the game in half, and things get super weird and make no damn sense. And then there are other cards like what's the one that there's one from Fallen Empires, I think, or no, from Legends. I need to find it. It's one of the first like vehicles. It's a merfolk vehicle that was printed back, I think, in Legends. That is absolute garbage. I need to. It's something like you have to tap like 3 merfolk to turn it into a creature, and it's like a 5/5 or something like that. But if it dies, everything that tapped dies as well.
Oh no!
It's so bad. I'm trying to remember the name of the card
of all time.
It's terrible.
But it is more like being in a vehicle, though.
It's more like being in a vehicle, sure. Because if you're all in a vehicle and it crashes, you're fucked. But like, I get it. But at the same time, like,
that's hilarious.
Mechanically, it's terrible.
Yeah. Hearsay, what have you been playing?
Anyway, yeah.
Oh man. Okay, so I've been crazy busy at work. I haven't been able to be on my PC or even be around, and fucking bullshit goes on. You know, shit happens in threes, everyone. Shit happens in threes. And I haven't really been able to be on my PC. So I usually play some like Elden Ring and Dying Light 2. Like Dying Light is probably my favorite games of all time. It's a great story. Parkour, zombies, beat face. It's fucking sweet. But with me being stuck at work on my commutes to and from, I've been fucking hooked on Pokemon Go. And I'm like, holy fuck, like stuck on it. I love it. I when it first came out in 2016, I was like, oh, this game's cool. Like, it's very nostalgic. I'm just collecting Pokemon. But it felt like lackluster. I didn't like it, and I was like, okay, like I'm done. I'm done with it. And then one of the guys that I work with was like, dude, you need to start playing Pokemon Go again. And I was like, why? Like, what's special about it? It's like, well, first off, you can not only can you catch and collect, but it's like you can trade, you can battle, you can do raids and all this stuff. It's like an actual like full-fledged game where you're actually like in the real world playing. I don't know, like people who play know. And this game it's so fucking good. And I've gotten into it and I've dived in. Like, just my commute to work is probably about 45 minutes to get to work and then get home. So I get a solid hour and a half in regardless. That's just like going to and from work. That doesn't exclude like my break. That doesn't include like, oh, I'm just gonna leave early and go and play. It's just, yeah. And for those who do know or don't know, tomorrow, I don't know when this video comes out. We're filming this on Saturday morning, and Go Fest is happening for Pokemon Go right now, Saturday and Sunday, and it's a crazy ride, crazy ride. There's all these new like Pokemon. There's drops. There's new raids and Pokemon coming back that haven't been out in a long time. We have dinosaurs coming to fucking Pokemon Go, which is fucking sweet. Yeah, so I'm just crushing this game out. I'm trying to figure out a way of streaming it on my channel, but you need like an adapter and a converter and all this stuff to go into your phone and then into your PC. But I see people doing it, and I'd love to bring that content to some light, because not a lot of people are watching it. Usually, it's like for rate, like they're watched for battles and stuff. But yeah, it's cool.
Faux show. I mostly I do play a lot of MTG, streaming and even off stream. I haven't actually been playing more and more, which is nice. I also play like a ton of Halo. Like, I just
your Halo game is pretty sick.
Thanks. Yeah, I really could play Halo for like 12
You
hours
really
straight.
could play Halo. I remember like watching you. Yeah, your jokes when you play Halo. It's pretty funny.
I love it. I don't know why. Like, every once in a while I find myself playing like these online shooters for years. Like, I used to be like a really big Gears of War person. I played Gears of War for like, I don't know, like 12 years straight. Like, almost. There was a time where I was playing it like every day, no matter what. Like, hours on hours, and just, I love that game. But kind of moved on a bit from that. And then now, when Guillotine, another streamer, he told me that the Halo multiplayer was free and that everyone was liking it. I ended up downloading it, and I was like, yeah, I'll never spend any money on, games like this, and then, 2 months later I played enough and I was like, I'm just going to get the battle pass. And I religiously play that game. There's some times where like I just play it for like 10 hours straight, and like there's a lot of times where I'd be done streaming and I'd be like, all right, now it's time to play Halo. You know what I mean? Like, I just really, really enjoy it. I don't know what it is. The gameplay in that game is just like 10 out of 10. It really is.
Mm-hmm.
Like, straight up 10 out of 10 for that game and the gameplay. Like, I don't know. I can't. It's hard for me to have that much fun playing shooters, I think, nowadays. And especially a game like that where it's just the same thing over and over again,
You do so much more than like when I played Halo. Fuck, like I think it might have been the second or third one that came out, like way back in the day. Mm-hmm. And it's where the sword was fucking boss. You just fucking could murder anyone.
Yeah, I think they introduced that in Halo 2, if I remember correctly. Yeah.
But like now, like I'm watching you, like you can like grapple and you can fly. Yeah, any players that are in that fucking skyship in Halo, go fuck yourself. If you don't have a team that focuses on getting the person that's out of that goddamn fucking thing that fly, I don't know what the fuck it's called.
There's two of them. There's the Banshee and the Wasp.
Oh my
goodness. The Wasp is the one that's deadly.
I don't rage at too many games, but I rage when there's a flyer and no one's paying attention to this person that's going off for 30 kills and no one's doing anything. I'm like, and I try to kill it. It sees that I'm doing that, and then they shoot at me. And
Yeah,
When they
yeah,
focus,
yeah.
yeah.
Dude,
Yeah. Dude, that sucks. Yeah.
Halo is probably just, I don't know. I do have a lot of nostalgia for it. It really does feel like the old Halo games, and I don't know. I like it a lot. For a while there, I was playing Call of Duty with Bushwookie and Swamp Man. And I
Nice.
really, really enjoyed that as well. It kind of definitely gave me some old school vibes. But
Mhm.
I actually just mostly like to play all kinds of games. I was playing Horizon for a long time. I also like old school stuff like Elder Scrolls games, and we talked about this before, like Orange Box, anything
Hell
that's like
yeah.
Half-Life related.
Fun fact: my buddy plays Elder Scrolls. Like, so he played the first installment of Elder Scrolls when the whole online thing came out.
Mhm.
And he's a master crafter, which is hard as fuck. So you have to learn like certain things and texts and blah 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 blah. Like, you need to scrap leather 10,000 times to be a master leatherer, and like all this like, absolute garbage. It took him 3 years to get like he can make anything. People just come into his like if he's crafting or if he's chatting or whatever. They're like, yeah, I need this made. And he's like, yeah, I can do it. Give me friggin' 200,000 gold, and I'll make you whatever you want. It's just it's so funny.
That's awesome. No, actually, I played quite a bit of Elder Scrolls Online actually as well. Like back when it first came out, I was so hyped for that game. It wasn't even funny.
I think everybody was when it first came out.
Yeah, it's like, wait a minute, you tell because we were all still really high on Skyrim.
I can play Oblivion with my friends, like multiplayer Oblivion.
Let's go. Like... Dude, and I love how you references Oblivion, not Skyrim, because
I love Skyrim a lot too.
I love Skyrim too. It's a great game. No shade at Skyrim, but dude, Oblivion. I played. It's funny actually.
And then there's people who like Morrowind more too, right? Like that goes down the line.
I have a soft spot for Morrowind. I do. Like that game was like.
You guys are psychopaths. Anyone who likes Morrowind is a psychopath.
Morrowind's great. I think Morrowind's probably Morrowind is the most customization of any of the games.
Dude,
Morrowind is the peak customization.
You can custom build your spells.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can build your spells. Oblivion took some of that away, where like some of the armor customization was there, but not all of it, and then you could still make spells, but some of that was taken out, and then when you get to Skyrim is where you get to like modernize like Bethesda games, where they like dumb it down. Like the core of the game is there, but it's dumbed down to the point that like any person can pick up the game and play it, right?
Pretty much, yeah.
Whereas like Oblivion, like if okay, Morrowind's even worse. Where Morrowind's like, I have no map and I have no quest marker. So I guess I'm just gonna go in the woods and find this shit. I guess.
And do you remember trying to navigate the fucking journal in Morrowind too? Because it was like, it would just mark whenever you hit a moment in the game, whether it was on a side quest or a main quest, it would just mark a little entry in your journal when you hit it, with like the game date on when you hit it. That was it. There was no quest marker, like you're saying. But on top of that, if you were like, well, what would I have to do for the main quest? You open up your journal and you flip through it. It's just a bunch of fucking scribbles. It wouldn't tell you.
Yeah, it's pretty.
What the main quest was.
Like...
It was
some of those other games are super funny, and I honestly like, guys, I blanked on two games that I love to the fullest. There's a game that came out that was I can't remember the baseball player's name, but it's Studio 38. It went bankrupt. But the thing was, this game came out the exact same day when original Skyrim came out. So bad move on these guys.
Brutal, yeah.
But it's called Kingdoms of Amalur. Kingdoms of Amalur: The Reckoning. And it was like Skyrim meets World of Warcraft. Like it was very vibrant and like mythical and blah 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 blah. Like it was like an RPG, or I guess like you would. It is an RPG, but it's what's the tagline for it? Like there's like RPGs and there's like MMOs and blah 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 blah. Like there's a certain tagline for it.
Yeah, it's not it's an MMO.
It's not online, so it's not.
Is it turn based or is it more of an action?
No, it's just like natural. Like you're playing around like you would like Skyrim, but it's kind of linear because you can only go you can go out in the world, and like move about and whatever. But there's like a set path for you to go. Like it's not set for you, but if you were to go like venture out, it's like there's a block here, so you can't really go that far.
Right.
But really great game, very vibrant. But my all time favorite game for PC, and the real ones that play the MMOs and stuff will know this: Path of Exile. Ham, look up the skill tree for Path of Exile.
Okay.
One of my
This is
longest chatters in my stream, one of my biggest supporters ever, he was always all about Path to Exile.
I've heard that
so
the
good.
people who are in the path are
They're
like
really into it,
really into it, which I like. Mad respect for that. I haven't gotten into it myself, probably because I've already sold my soul to Magic. But yeah,
This skill tree
dude,
is
I pulled it
massive.
up right now. Holy crap, dude.
I think it's the biggest skill tree in a game ever made. I think.
Well,
Because you
okay,
can
so
build into every other character. You don't just have to stay with yours. You can web into every character.
yeah, and I want to paint a picture for the folks at home. So I just Googled the skill trees, and I pulled up the official pathofexile.com/passive-skill-tree website. So at first I scrolled down, there's a little bit of a write-up, sure, whatever, and I scroll down, and the image that is presented to me looks like a picture of the night sky.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you can zoom in, and each of those little stars, each of those little dots is a skill.
Yeah.
That's gnarly, dude.
And then there's like gems. So like there's skills that like there's nodes like stamina, dexterity, intelligence, strength. I think that's how it works out. Yeah, intelligence, dexterity, strength, something else. I think this is maybe only 3 because it's like red, blue, and green. And then there's those gems. Those gems have specific spells. And then there's things called supporter gems that you can attach to that spell, and it makes it more powerful or it does something more. So say you had like there's like I can't remember what it's called, but it's called like a magma orb. And when you get it at like just the spell, it's just a ball of magma that rolls to the enemy.
Red hot magma.
Yeah, and then you get another gem, and it makes it into 3, and then you get another gem, and it makes it into 4, and then another gem, and it like makes it go faster, and then it makes it go like the whole screen just turns into like balls of fucking magma that just fucking melt your enemies. Oh, the game's insane.
Nice.
So, guys, how do we feel about gaming under the influence? I personally do it quite
Big
a
fan.
bit.
Big fan.
I smoke quite a bit. I smoke a lot
As
more
we're
than probably
drinking.
most people should do.
Yeah.
And I don't really drink that much, honestly. This is probably the most you guys will honestly ever see me drink in general nowadays. I don't really drink that much anymore, but I actually don't really like to. If I'm doing a YouTube video, I don't like to drink at all. Obviously, I'm still smoking, but like, for some reason, I don't know. When I'm like, kind of like that type of inebriated, I feel like my game is off for sure. So I don't want to like necessarily make like a video for it. I think for me personally, if I'm drinking and stuff, I like to play shooters more.
Okay.
And
Yeah, for sure. Like you want to
anything
play
like
a game
that,
that
you
like
know?
really doesn't matter that much.
I don't want to play chess when I'm drunk. You know what I mean? That's Magic.
Yeah.
That's how I feel about Magic. It's like I don't want
Dude,
to do that fucked up, you know?
Could
Like
you
that.
imagine the comment section on a video where you're 3 sheets to the wind and you try filming some gameplay? Can you just imagine, like, dude, why didn't you play your land on turn 3? Like, what? Like,
What?
I was actually thinking it
But how funny
that's the thing
would
people
that be
like.
that you're actually like you're just fucking balls to the wall, out of your mind, and you're streaming and you're playing a game, but you know that you are inebriated, like you're slurring your words together. You're just like this was fucking.
I've been on some streams where people have been pretty toasted, and it's interesting to say the least.
I have
Because,
a funny story. You can't see this video anymore, but it was really fucking. I thought it was funny, and some people when I first started streaming, I don't know, a year and a bit ago. I remember coming home, like I had a long day at work, and then I just had a few drinks after work, and then I was like, "Fuck it, I'm gonna smoke a joint, and then I'm gonna stream a bit. I'm just gonna stream. Fuck it, like why not?" and I'm sitting there and I'm streaming, I'm doing my thing, and I completely like I get so high and so drunk that I completely forget that I'm streaming.
Oh no.
Like 100%, my mind is like I'm not streaming. I'm just home playing a game, and I'm playing the game, and all of a sudden like my chest starts itching. So I was like, oh. I start scratching my chest, and I was like, oh, it doesn't really feel as good. Maybe I should take my shirt off. And like, so I take my shirt off and I start scratching my chest. I'm like, oh, that's better. Yeah, oh yeah. And I'm like, yeah, that's great. And then I go back to me playing the game, completely forgetting I am live streaming. And it wasn't at one point, I think someone comes in and goes like, your shirt's off. That's not okay. And I was like, holy fuck, I'm streaming. End stream. Like, literally, that is what I said on stream was, holy fuck, I'm streaming. End stream. And like, I was gone. And I was like, oh, I can't believe I just fucking did that.
Oh,
damn, dude.
Man. I definitely accidentally left my stream on multiple times.
But I don't think anyone leaves their stream on like Guillotine does.
Oh, that's some old school right there. Leave it on for like 12 hours straight, and then the best was no one would leave. I think that was actually the best thing about the fact that he left his stream on for 12 hours is that like no one left. So then when he got back on again, he actually had the same amount of viewers as he did when he left. And I was like, that's like incredible. I don't know what I want to have your skill where you just leave your stream online and 40 to 60 people were there just hanging out.
That's nuts.
Not even caring.
I know talking. And it's not even like a sleep stream. Like you don't even see him. He's just not even in the room.
He's like doing his life. He's like living his life, going to work.
I remember messaging him on Discord. I was like, yo, Guillotine, like, you know you're live, right? And
so many people
he wouldn't even get back to me until like 4 or 5 hours later. Like, yeah, totally left that on. But you know what? I was still at 30 people.
Yeah, man.
That's
like,
insane,
man, people
dude.
would just be hanging out, which is, those were the
That's
days. So how do you guys
Love
feel? I mean, I personally, like, yeah, like, that's how I feel about, like, at least the drinking part of it. I like to smoke, so I gotta be high when I'm doing stuff. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I haven't smoked weed in years. It's been many, many years. I did play, like, to give you an idea, the new hotness. The last time I really blazed up, and it was a regular part of my life. Halo 3 was still a relevant
man, talk
game.
about Halo, right? Let's go.
Getting blasted out of my mind playing Halo 3 was not uncommon. I was also living in a house with like 7 other dudes at the time. Like I just graduated from college. It's like, it was stupid, man. We had a summer where it was just like, let's just not remember anything. Does that sound good to you guys? Oh yeah, let's go.
Let's go.
So it was a lot of getting blitzed out of our mind and playing Halo. That was like. And there was one day, I'll always remember this. We were completely blasted on this this particular strain. It gave a mind high. They called it Purple Haze, and I don't know if I'm sure there are a million different strains called Purple Haze. So I'm sure you're not gonna be like, wait, the Purple Haze? No, probably not. Yeah.
Is there a weed that is like that? This is the Purple Haze. This is the.
Probably not. I don't know. Yeah, I'll tell you right now. In Ypsilanti, Michigan, nope. There's sure as hell none of those weeds. But so in this case, so we were getting high on this particular stuff, and I'll always remember this: sitting on a little like footrest, like a little like armoire or whatever, like it just like leaning way too close to the TV with my controller in my hand, barely focusing, just not being aware of what was going on. And like every time I died, I was like, guys, I'm sorry. I'm sucking this up. I can't fuck. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry, man. I'm just dragging the whole team down. I'm sorry. And then the game, like the recap came up. I had like 4 deaths and like 30 fucking kills. I was like, fuck? Like I was MVP by a mile. Easily my best game ever. I was like...
You're like getting a death, and you're like,
and my buddy Braden was next to me. He's like, dude, we had no idea what the fuck you were talking about.
Yeah, but honestly, I think sometimes like when you can get in those spots of the highness, you do your best work because you just get in the zone
Mhm.
and you're just there. And
There was
sometimes
focus.
I feel
There
like
was
when
focus.
you're
Yeah.
yeah, like sometimes I feel like when you're playing a game and you got those like drunk focus eyes, you just see more. You're just like, whoa, like those little
It's
little
because your
movements.
reaction time is actually slowed down. A lot of the time
Yeah.
when you're doing those shooter games, like you're like overly like too stressed out, right? Sweaty or whatever is what the kids
Mm.
call it these days, and like you're just not really
Getting
taking the
sweaty.
time to slow down. So like what ends up happening is you're moving too fast, you shoot too fast, you're doing all this stuff too much, and like when you're actually drunk or stoned, like you're actually like slowing down to the point where you can be like, oh yeah, over there, and shoot, and then the other person's like, on coffee or on a monster, and they're like missing their shots because they're trying too hard, and you're over here like not missing a single shot because you're actually trying to hit them. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
just keeping it
Mm.
nice and smooth. Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
Man, I remember when I was younger, playing Call of Duty way back in the day. I used to play for Clan. Remember when clans was a thing when you played online shooters?
I
Yep. Yeah, and you had
almost
to like
had my own
change
Hollywood
your
clan.
username, so you had the little clan and then the
Yeah, like
underscore, and
little
then oh
clan
yeah.
tags. I
Mm-hmm.
used to
Hell
play
yeah.
for a clan called they were K4AL, which was Killing for a Living. This was way back in the day,
Nice.
and I loved that kind of gameplay. But man, I felt like cheating because everyone would get together. You train yourself on a map, and then each person, like your 6-player squad, had a certain zone that you would look at. Like everyone's camping, everyone's camping. But you're like, this is your 6-foot window frame. This is what anything that comes through, that's what you're shooting. I used to love that shit because you get so fucking blitzed and drunk because you're like, I gotta pay attention to this doorway. That's it, just this doorway. Anything that hits this doorway, I'm killing it. That's it. That's it. And you just be sitting there. And I remember just like this blaze and just like, yeah, mm-hmm. And like it's like it's at one point like where you really feel like in those like war movies when they're just like and there's
Mm-hmm.
like smoking and just like hanging out. Like that's what I was feeling like. It was so funny.
Oh, dude, there could have very easily been a time, like in the early 2000s or late 90s, where I was like cursing you because like I hated campers, dude. I fucking hated campers so bad.
You just like rocking around like, I got this, dead.
Like,
I got this,
fucking
dead.
campers again.
You know what? I know exactly where it's at. I'm gonna come around this corner, dead. Oh, I'll jump around, dead.
Dead. Doesn't matter. Yeah.
Yeah. Like 6 of us would have half the map locked down. And you just control half the map. That's it. That's it.
Yeah. That's all you need, man. Yeah. In a
Some
deathmatch
games that
situation,
strategy
like
definitely works,
yeah.
right? Like, but not
Yeah.
all the games.
Well, the games
Right.
don't work like that anymore. The old Call of Duty games like Black Ops, Black Ops 2, was it Ghosts? We had Modern Warfare, like all those games. You could hold down half a map because you just knew where you had to look for. These new Call of Duty games, they're all open world. They're battle royale. They force you to move. I remember when I stopped playing Call of Duty was when they forced you to move because so you couldn't camp. If you sat for more than 6 seconds, it kicked you out of the game.
Or
It's
the
like
field.
you're camping.
Nowadays,
You're
the
out.
field moves in.
Yeah,
So like that way, like if somebody isn't playing, then you just keep dying.
yeah.
Right.
So my gameplay is dead. My first person shooter is career is gone.
Yeah. No, my first person shooter career was I don't know. It lived longer than it should have even back then, to be fair. I was never particularly good at those games, but
What was your
they were fun.
guys' first game played?
Like
Ooh.
first ever video game.
Your first ever video game that you can remember?
My first ever video game was Nintendo 64 Blast Corps. Like I played Super Mario 64
Mm.
like for like 10 minutes on someone else's like some other kid's house, and I was like, oh my god, this is like mind blowing. And then when I went to go get the N64 or whatever, they didn't have Super Mario, so I ended up just getting like Blast Corps or whatever. And I played that game, and that game is mostly like you jump into like a mechanical suit, and it's all different kinds of suits throughout the levels.
Mm-hmm.
And you just go blowing up buildings. You can like jump in a robot, punch a building out. You could just be like this big truck and just start running through shit, or like guide this other thing, this bomb, to kind of like push through shit to help it guide it to where its destination is. You can jump into this other person, this other like suit that's like a really cool jetpack looking thing, and so I did that, and I kind of like. It's funny because when I was like that young, I had no idea what I was doing in that game. It took me like 3 months later to get out of the first level because I had no idea what to do. Every time I'd be like, "Oh my god, the train's gonna hit the bomb and or whatever, the level's gonna end, so I gotta move this other shit out of the way." I was like, I don't even know what to do. So then, like 3 months later, I finally realized what I needed to get into and start actually doing stuff. And in reality, when you really think about it, that's almost like my knowledge of video games, right? Because a game like that is somewhat complex but not really that crazy, someone like me who had never played a lot of games before was like, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing, right? And I couldn't even get past the first level. I mean, that for most
Sure.
people that would be a bad experience, you know what I mean? But for me, I was like, oh, this game is just, it felt like a miss, right? Where you look at the game cover and, oh, that game cover's cool, and then you play it and it's not that game. And at that time, that's what it felt like. But as I grew older and went back to play that game, I actually ended up getting like 16 or whatever levels in, and I was like, yeah, this game's great. And I
Nice.
had a lot of fun, and compared to now or compared to back then where I didn't know any better, right? And all I wanted to play was Super Mario. And even then, like, playing Super Mario 64 as a kid was hard, right? Like, I feel like there's a lot of games that I feel like were really hard when you're like a kid, and then you go play them now and you're like, this game sucks.
Man,
Right.
there's what about
Straight up.
the games? Before I actually, Ham, I want to hear your answer before I get into my
Yeah.
rant.
So I have a couple, like, there are a couple of different games that were really formative, but as far as my very first like video game, I don't know the one cartridge that I played, but it was on an Atari 2600. Not that I'm that old, but when I was growing up, my family was that poor, so we didn't have the Nintendo Entertainment System.
Yeah.
We had the 2600. We're doing fine now, but I'm just saying, like, growing up, we worked with what we had. That day, my parents weren't overly fond of video games, so we didn't have a ton. But we did have an Atari 2600. We had limited time. We were allowed to play it. But I remember playing, like, Space Invaders, Centipede, Combat, which if you never played Combat, or, like, I highly recommend it. It's, like, it's 2-player asteroids. It's awesome. Except you're trying to kill each other with tanks. It's dope.
Yeah, I remember the Atari. The Atari was fun.
Yeah, there was some good stuff there. So that was definitely my first. But the game that did it for me, that, like, when I realized, like, okay, I guess I'm a gamer now. This is it. Like, I'm not looking back. Was actually Myst, believe it or not.
Myst.
Myst. M-Y-S-T.
M-Y-S-T, right?
Yep,
Yeah.
It was a puzzle game which was basically just a really intense HyperCard stack. So it was basically just playing through a fancy looking slideshow with a bunch of puzzles on it. And the thing about that game that was intense, that, like, really did it for me, which, by the way, it was also the #1 selling PC game of all time for like 10 fucking years.
I remember seeing
it was a big deal.
I don't know much about the game, but I do know MYST, like that was the game.
Dude, I'm about to send you a link because what's really funny is I've never played that game, but on one of my YouTube accounts, I have a saved for later, and it's the documentary on that game.
Oh, tight.
Because that game almost didn't come out. What happened with that? So that game was so big they couldn't put it on the discs.
Oh, I believe it.
Yeah, that was their main. I didn't really watch it, but that was actually their main issue. Was when they started to make the game, they didn't know if they were actually going to be able to finish it. Yeah, it says here how Myst almost couldn't run on CD-ROM.
That's awesome. Yeah, because I mean that game came out in like 93, 94, something like it's old.
It's an old game for sure.
Yeah, it's classic. And the thing about it was, for me specifically, the reason that game resonated in my experience was because my dad brought it home, and he and I played it together. And prior to that, he actually was traveling for work a lot, so I didn't really get like much like FaceTime with him. So that was like our special thing that we did. Like when he got home from work, we would sit down and play Myst for a little while before going to bed, and like so. We were solving puzzles together, like me and my dad. Like that was really special and really fun. So, that was one of those moments when I realized, like, all right, video games are fucking sweet. I love this. Like, let's keep this going. And so that was a big defining moment for me personally. So as far as like if I have to say the one game that turned me into a gamer, that was it. But like the first time I picked up a controller, it was probably like Asteroids or Combat. Yeah. And my older brother probably kicked the shit out of me at whatever we were playing. because that was it. Also, we did have a Super Nintendo at one point. One of my uncles got wind of the fact that my parents didn't really like video games, so they got us a Super Nintendo for Christmas one year.
Oh yeah.
Which was
Classic.
pretty rad. Oh, it was great. It was the great dick uncle move. It was perfect.
It's just like one of those like they're not my kids. Here's all
Yep.
they're hyped up on chocolate. You deal with them.
Yep, you kids have fun.
Yeah.
And he sent it wrapped, so my parents didn't even know what it was until we unwrapped it on Christmas. It was great. It was,
Amazing.
it was so good. So yeah, so like played a lot of Super Mario, like Super Mario World and that kind of thing growing up. Like Mario 3 was freaking sweet because we had like Mario All Stars that had like all the old school Mario games on them. Oh my goodness. Like yeah, we played all of that. And being the little brother, I have a fondness for Luigi. He was just because I always had to play as Luigi because player 2. That was just the role.
I am
Tails.
forever player 2.
You felt the Tails there from Sonic.
Tails, yep, exactly.
The old Tails feeling.
Yep.
That's pretty.
Dude, Tails can fly though. I'm cool with it.
Yeah, that's true. Tails can fly.
So my first game is I also hold this game near and dear to my heart. But
Yeah.
It's from I'm almost positive it's N64, and it's you guys know Bad Fur's Conker's Bad Fur Day?
Yeah. Yes.
That is my
Let's
first
go.
game, and that game was such a classic. I'm pretty sure it was the first game that had cursing and swearing on it. Like,
at least for like a Nintendo title, it was.
Yeah.
Because it was their competition. So I think Conker's specifically was their competition versus Gex. If you remember Gex from the PlayStation series.
Yeah.
Oh,
Gex
right.
was kind of like a 007 Gecko that was just like dirty and stuff. And Conker's, I think, was kind of like the opposite. Or the same type of thing, but for the N64. But it was actually a better game. It was actually way
so
better
good because you could be the squirrels with the teddy bears. Oh my goodness, that game was hilarious. I used to rage at the game, but that game was so fun. For another question,
okay,
what is a game that you played when you were younger that was easy as fuck? You remember fucking breezing through it.
Star Fox 64.
And now you go to play now, and you can't even get past the first level.
Ooh,
I'll tell you right now.
Not Star
fucking
Fox
Battletoads. I remember fucking sweeping through Battletoads like it was fucking nothing. One life is all I needed. Didn't even matter. Like with Battletoads, if you died, you had to start over. There was no save points, no checkpoints. You died, start again. I remember fucking beating that game several times. I can't get past a first boss this time. Now that I'm older,
I'm trying to think of what mine would be because I'm not. Star Fox 64, I think I probably play it now and probably still be able to breeze through it. Man, to play now and not do good in the first level. I'm trying to think because I feel like I had an experience like this recently with Steam, but I don't remember what the game was. It might have been like a Resident Evil title because sometimes those old Resident Evil games are like annoying because you can't find enough stuff to survive, or this zombies in like off screen and they hit you and you're just like, what's going on?
Yeah, the camera and the aiming system was just so shitty, and ammo was scarce. Get out of here! Like this sucks.
Yeah.
I love those games, but man, those camera angles were probably some of the worst.
They were rough.
Ever.
I feel like there was. Yeah, I feel like I had a similar experience where I went back and tried to play an early 3D game that I jammed as a kid, and it gave me a headache. Like actually, I just couldn't keep up with it.
You know what game is not as easy as I remember? Mario Kart 64.
Oh, yeah.
So I went back to Mario Kart 64 and I was like, oh yeah, we're gonna get the whatever cup, the 150cc in each one of these. I immediately went to 150cc to start, and I was like, oh yeah, got this. All right, lose. And I was like, what the heck's going on? I was like, second place. I was like, that's weird. And those games, like, there's so much RNG too sometimes from like them throwing a shell or like random shit, and like, man, those games could be like, it's not as easy for me. I actually failed the I think it's like Toad's Raceway, where like it's all the cars. So like if you touch a car, you just automatically start flipping and you take damage, or you like slow down. And and I just like I played that and I just kept losing, and I was like, wow, this is as hard as I like feel like it probably was. But back in the day I could breeze through that shit. I was so used to it, right? Do the levels backwards.
Yeah, even like the jump drift, like you just like burp 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 burp, and like you crush it, and now you're like all over the friggin' road. Oh yeah, those
I can't control
a lot of those
it,
games. I just don't. I can't comprehend how easy they were when I was a kid, and then go to play them now. I'm like this. I'm struggling. Like I'm raging at this shitty. Fuck this game. Remember when you played Mortal Kombat when it first came out?
Oh
And
yeah,
the combos you could pull off, like it was fucking nothing. Just like boop, 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 over, yeah, up, down, and bang, yeah, you're dead. And now you're like, I need to pause the game. I need to go to the move section. What am I doing? Okay, what am I doing here? All right, cool. I think, like now you get those fatalities, and you get to pause the game. And what is the cool fatality move that I want to pull off? I got to look up the move settings.
right.
But before, you just didn't have that. You just knew it.
Yeah, no, that's a good one. That's a good one. No, Mortal Kombat was one of those franchises where I was never quite as good as I wanted to be, but I was way better back in the day than I am now. That's for sure. I have no doubt about it.
What about Smash Bros?
I never played that game myself, really.
Dude, I
only
Smash
played
Bros
it like a weekend at like a Blockbuster or something. We rented it, and I thought I was like okay, but I never really was into fighting games that much. Like, I really enjoy the characters, and I actually enjoy, like, the story, but in terms of, like, playing them, I think that is one thing that kind of turns me off, is how much, like, I have to memorize the combos rather than, like, how, like you said, where, like, it came natural, where, like, you kind of were just, like, actually trying to win the fight and trying to do specific things and fight, rather than now it's like, oh, I'm trying to get you to a certain point, and then I'm just going to hit this move and, automatically win the game, and it's like, well, that's not really... I guess there's a different type of skill. It's just not really that exciting for me.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Actually, come to think of it, though, the thing about fighting games, I mean, there are a lot of fighting games that I was really into back in the day, and, like, one of them was Soul Edge, like, the predecessor to Soul Calibur. I played that game a ton back in the arcade. And that's one of those where, like, I have tried to revisit it a couple of times on, like, emulators, and, oh, man, it is not good. Also, 1080 Snowboarding. Do you guys remember that for the N64?
Oh, yeah, that game's great.
Yeah, great game, but man, it is way harder than you remember.
Snowboard Kids is like impossible. It feels like sometimes, like, you get hit by one fucking thing, and then you just automatically lose the race. It's like, okay.
Yeah, it's brutal. Like turn-based games, like Final Fantasy VII.
Oh, I remember Final Fantasy VII.
I actually never played those either.
Really?
Yeah.
No, my jam was Final Fantasy VI, or Final Fantasy III, as we know it here in the States. Yeah, but Final Fantasy VI was my jam, which I found out later is widely considered like one of the best in the franchise, if not the best by a lot of players. So, all right, cool. I'm glad I started on a good one. But which is funny too, because actually I have some thoughts on Final Fantasy, because I played a lot of 6, I played through a lot of 7. I got to the final boss on 7. I got to the final boss on 7 to spend a cumulative like 8 hours of getting my shit kicked in to realize, no, I have no desire to win this game. Fuck this, I'm out.
Oh man.
Oh, it was a terrible experience.
You remember like playing like those 8 hours of that boss fight in Final Fantasy VII, and then you look at Demon Souls and Dark Souls series, and like, and you're like, and what's fucking Elden Ring?
Yeah,
and forget 8 hours. That's a breeze. You're spending days, weeks.
And that's why I don't play those games.
Weeks on this boss.
Yeah, I can't play those games. Those games just seem too hard for me. I want to play them because they look beautiful, but they also seem like the type of game where it's just like, I'm gonna lose. Well,
I would highly recommend, like, there are different ones. I don't know. It depends on what kind of experience you're looking for, because Final Fantasy 6, 7, and 8 are all good games in their own right. I personally didn't really like 8, but I think it was more a localization to the United States thing, because like there were some translation issues in that game where like I was trying to follow the story, no clue what the hell was happening, because like characters were literally saying words that made no sense. At least that was my experience. Don't at me if you're like, I know Final Fantasy 8 apologists love that game, and Final Fantasy 7 apologists hate Final Fantasy 8 apologists. Anyway, that's been my experience anyway. But it seems to be whatever you started on Final Fantasy wise is the one you love the most.
Yeah, I love 7. That's the one that I started on.
Yeah, and that makes sense. I get that. Like, I totally get it, because especially the first half of Final Fantasy 7 is a masterpiece. Like that first disc,
the storytelling is amazing.
Oh, so good. I can't that's untouchable. Like there are so many moments in that game.
I forgot that it was a 2-disc game too.
I think it was like a 4-disc game, dude. Like, yeah, no, the game was insane. But the other Final Fantasy that nobody talks about, or at least was widely, not nobody. It's not. I know there are a lot of people out there who love it, but I love it as well. It's Final Fantasy 9. I feel like Final Fantasy 9 hit the world building and the flavor of Final Fantasy VI, the visual beauty of Final Fantasy VII and VIII, and combined it into a really cool, unique experience that felt very Final Fantasy while telling a cool and compelling story with great characters. And the systems were simple, approachable, and still customizable. Like you could still, tune up your characters and tune up your parties in very cool, unique ways while, keeping things relatively simple. Like the items had skills and your characters would learn the skills as they used the item. And so you get to a point where like, okay, I got a better item, but they haven't learned the skill from that last item yet. So I need to keep using that for a little while and then I'll upgrade it later. Or you have the moment of, or I can upgrade it now and I just lose that. I don't learn that skill, which is kind of a cool balancing act. It's an interesting tension that made for a cool gameplay experience. And Vivi, the little black mage, was just sweet. I love that little guy. I want to give him a big hug. Anyway, yeah, so I love Final Fantasy IX. That was one that did not have any huge like roadblocks, at least for me in my play experience, where I was able to get through to the end and complete the game. Unlike Final Fantasy, the other thing with Final Fantasy VII, the other beef I have with that final boss fight specifically, is it had an animation that literally lasted about 10 minutes. Like one of its attacks, like the moment it started, there was one time, about the 7th fucking time I'd seen that animation, I literally set the controller down, went into the kitchen, made a sandwich, got myself a beverage, and then came back and it still wasn't done. And that's not an exaggeration. That literally happened.
Like, that's so painful.
It's ridiculous.
That is very painful.
Yeah, it was rough, dude. It's one of those things where it's like, if you're just gonna blast my team for like 3,000 damage or whatever, just do it already.
Yeah, just like I'm dead. Can I go back? Redo this, please?
Yeah, can I restart? No, you need to watch this. Damn it.
You need to watch this ass spanking and I'm about to give you.
Right. Yeah, it was no fun. It was no fun at all. Well, and so many times too, when I talked to Final Fantasy VII players who loved that game and I explained to them my experience, they're like, "Oh, well, did you get Knights of the Round?" It's like, well, what's that? It's like, oh, it's this materia that you can get going this, and this. It's like, so you mean to tell me that there on some podunk island in the middle of nowhere was some other boss that I was supposed to figure out, and some huge quest line that gave me the ultimate weapon, which is mathematically the only chance of beating this boss?
Yeah.
Who the hell designed this, and why is this considered like the greatest game of all time?
Like, this is like some Morrowind stuff again. We're like,
kinda, yeah.
We're like, get back to like, what am I even doing?
Like,
it's the
you got to Sephiroth,
guys, the secret sauce.
Yeah, you got to Sephiroth and you didn't have that? What were you doing? I was like, I was playing the game. I thought
I was playing the game the way that I thought it was supposed to be played. No, you weren't.
No, you weren't. Clearly, you weren't. Like I was doing the quests as they were lined out. Like, no, that's not how you do that.
Have you guys ever?
But you didn't have a dozen black chocobos? No, I didn't. What the hell? Why was that? Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, I have thoughts.
Have you ever picked up a game that the game literally tells you nothing, like not even how to even play the game? No, like these are the buttons. This is this. Have you ever played?
That's actually how Myst works. That's
really?
In Myst. You install the game, you run the exe file, and you are presented with a picture of a dock. You're on a dock. There's a sunken ship next to you and a path leading into an island.
That's incredible.
That's it. Go.
Dude, see,
I loved it. It was so good.
That I just feel like they don't make games like that anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Like that game
is
so epic. Yeah, they kind of like baby you into it, and like I feel like that game just sounds so beautiful. Like a lot of the beauty of video games is you experiencing it for the first time, getting to learn about how to do things, anything like that. And I feel like some of that's taken away today, where they're like, all right, if you do this and this is how you beat your enemy, and all right, you're done, go out into the real world. Whereas before it's like, here's this picture, no words, solve it.
Yeah, that's it. And then you find that you can like click to move your character around. Okay, great. And you like find a little piece of paper that give you an idea. Like you find one piece of paper that gives you like a clue as to where you're supposed to look first. But other than that, you can seriously spend an hour just walking around the starting island, just clicking on shit, having no idea what's going on.
Just like,
I love it, frankly. It was so cool.
The escape game.
Kinda, yeah. It was, yeah. Myst was basically a really intense escape room. That's kind of what it was. Yeah.
I remember when I first picked up my like Witcher. The first Witcher did not explain nothing.
Nice.
Nothing. And you just died and died and died and died. Died some more. Go look online. Says nothing how to play the game. just other comments of other people being like, "How do I play? What do I do? How do I attack? Why is this happening? Blah 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 blah." But there was no answers.
The whole internet was going, dude, I got nothing,
Like,
man.
what is this game? And then they come up with the second game, same thing, hard as fuck to play because you didn't know what you were doing. Then they came up with the third game 10 years later, something like that. And Witcher 3 is amazing. Witcher 3 is, the Wild Hunt is crazy good. And I think they learned a lesson. Like, you need to do this.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah, there's just like, man, I feel like some of the Elder Scrolls games are kind of like that. Even like they kind of just like throw you in and they're like, hey, look, you gotta do this, and then they're like, all right, now you gotta go out into the real world, and it's like, well, I didn't really learn how to do anything outside of like shoot a bow and swing my sword like 3 times.
Yeah, dude, Oblivion was like, I loved the tutorial on Oblivion because it was basically like, yeah, shoot a bow. Hey, look how that arrow like dangles. Hey, check it out. We made a physics engine. Cool, right? Yeah, your tutorial's done. Go save
Go kill some goblins. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you've killed 3 goblins. You got it. You're good.
You know what you're doing. You know what you're doing. Go kill things.
It's so funny.
No, I love that though. Man, that game was so sweet.
If you could put yourself into a game, what game would you put yourself into?
Ooh,
Bioshock. That's like easily one of my favorite gaming franchises, if not
That's a pretty sweet.
my favorite gaming franchise of all time. In all honesty, I think I don't talk about it that much, but I've thought about just streaming all those games because I've beat the original Bioshock like at least 30 to 40 times. I would play that game religiously all the time. I still have it on Steam. I have the collection, the remastered, and like I just everything about that game. I love the world. I love the characters. The gameplay is incredible. Like it's such a old school type setting, but then there's also like the sci-fi aspect to it, and man, I'm not that into it right now at the moment because I'm into some other stuff, right?
But
Like
you can
Halo,
always
Magic,
come back
but
to it.
yeah, like Bioshock. See, when I get into some Bioshock, man, like it's like there's
Dude.
actually the Bioshock Hub for anybody that watches YouTube. Go check out their channel. He makes some really really great content, and he streams on Twitch sometimes, but he still comes out with videos every once in a while. But yeah, I just was, man, I love that game. It looks so beautiful, and like the concepts and like a lot of the messages in those games really speak out to like some of my own like personal beliefs and or some things that happen in real life, and I just feel like, man, those games just really nail it. I'm actually waiting for, they're coming out with a Netflix series soon, and
that could be
they're
crazy.
also coming out with Bioshock 4 eventually. I think next year or the year after, I can't remember, but
oh sweet.
they're working on all those, so I'm excited for it. I've always just been like, talking about this now makes me remember that I need to stream it and stream myself playing those games, because those games are like
Make sure you're
8,000
checking
plus.
out Hollywood Pizza for next stream, Bioshock stream.
But
Dude, that sounds dope.
I'm obsessed with that franchise. I love that franchise.
Dude, I love that franchise too. That's so good. I've actually, it's
yeah.
funny you mentioned that. I was considering doing like Let's Plays of the whole Bioshock franchise. I was considering that at some point. I don't know that I'm going to, but it's a cool idea. And so, like, by all means, get after it. Because no, I love that franchise too.
Yeah,
It's
I love
beautiful.
that.
To this day, when I'm playing Magic and my deck is popping off, I have been known to say, "Welcome to the circus of value."
Welcome to the circus of value.
Value.
Come back when you got some money, buddy.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's so good.
Yeah,
No, that
so
franchise is
good.
beautiful. I'm a big fan. Yeah, no, as far as like actually inserting myself into a game world, I'd probably have to go Elder Scrolls, because like
So Ham is dead.
Tamriel is. I'm sorry. Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, no, I mean, you're not wrong.
Tamriel's pretty lit. Like,
Tamriel's fantastic. I'm a
Tamriel's
big
pretty
fan.
dope. Tamriel's
it's
pretty dope.
huge. Like, can you
It's
imagine
absolutely
being
huge.
a person there? Just how massive, like, the
Yeah.
actual plane is, right?
Yes, but
like,
you'd also have to start life from the bottom up.
True.
depending,
you-
depending,
You,
you could
you
be
have
born
to
into it.
build your own hut.
More than like, yeah.
And then into a house. And then into whatever. Oh my goodness, the life.
Yeah, no, actually you're not wrong. The actual lifestyle. Actually, wait a minute.
It'd be awesome though because like
It would be awesome because
technically,
you could literally do whatever.
Yeah, top end is like the upside is there, but you're right. It's starting fresh as like a peasant in Tamriel
Like going in level 1.
would be pretty rough. But I mean the other option is like I don't know, the Mushroom Kingdom. Like that would be pretty sweet
That'd be
because
pretty dope. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure everybody there is just like they're just chilling, having a. I mean, it's just a party all the time.
Mm.
I mean, Bowser's just that asshole who just has a tendency to mess things up. But like when he's not around, it's all gravy, right?
It's just, it's
yeah,
just party
pretty
time.
much.
Yeah. So as far as like where I actually like to live, a world where the terrain is literally mushrooms.
I thought about this question for myself, and I'm like, I have 2 games I can't choose between. So I'm a big fan of Ratchet and Clank. I think that series is so much fun, and like the way that they introduce like new weapons of like just like funky weapons and like a way of playing the game. I think that's really cool. But I'm a big fan of choice games. So Fable.
Oh, there you go.
I would have like to have your life in the Fable where everything that you do, like you're the good guy, but you could become the bad guy depending on the choices you make throughout life. I think it's pretty cool.
Nice. I always play those like back in the day before games got like hyper realistic. I always played those games as the bad guy.
Yeah, why wouldn't you?
I went hard evil most of the time. It was
Kicking boxes, killing chickens, like you're just
I'm the opposite. I always,
after it.
to this day, I still always have to play as the good guy.
Yeah.
I can't be the bad guy. I don't know what it is. I'm like the opposite. I'm like, oh guys, I gotta do the right thing. Yeah, man.
Yeah. Well, okay. Did you guys actually, another game that hasn't aged particularly well, or at least like a gameplay experience that has not aged well? Have you ever like gone back and tried to play Grand Theft Auto like 3 or Vice City the way you used to play it?
Wait, no.
A little bit.
San Andreas, I do go back and play.
Oh, okay, all right.
San Andreas is a little bit different though compared to the other two. 3 and 4 are, well, it's not 3 and 4. 3 and Vice City are like the same game. Where
Pretty much, yeah.
I actually did try to play them like a year or 2 ago, and I was like, "Ooh, this is rough." It's still cool because it's like open world, but like the controls are actually kind of clunky.
Yeah.
Oh, big time.
And I don't know, it's just not. Yeah, it doesn't slap the same.
Well,
So
and I don't
those
know,
games were like insane back then, right?
When are we gonna get GTA 6? That's my question. There, Rockstar.
Rockstar, they announced
GTA
it already. They announced that they're working on it, but there's no timetable.
Well, I mean,
so at least we know that they're working on it. The best thing
Right.
about that company, at least that we can hope to expect, is that they'll actually get the game done when they release it. Because I'm pretty sure that they don't want to hear from other people that they're like everybody else in their game sucks for 6 months until they fix it. Even though arguably there's still some glitch in those games, just like any big open world game like that, but not at the same level that games have now, right? Where when a game comes out, it's like 50% done, like half of the game's done, and then they have to do like all these updates to make.
We'll release the other. Here's 40% of the game. Play it. We'll release the other 60% sometime.
So I think that they announced that they're working on it, and they're just like, hey, don't worry, it's an idea. It's there. We're working on it. Rather than being like, this is the timetable. This is, because once you start doing that is when it actually becomes like a problem, right? You're like putting too much pressure on yourself, and then the companies that want to make money off of your game selling and all this other stuff, and then you have to have it out by that deadline, and that's just too much.
Sure. Well, and the thing is, people don't remember if a game got delayed.
Yeah.
Sometimes they actually do. They don't remember if the game is good. If the game has flaws, the best example is Halo. I play Halo a lot, right? Halo Infinite, but arguably Halo took 6 years to make. And when the game came out, it wasn't even done. So people, it gets brought up all the time. This game took 6 years to make, and this is where we're at, And I think, but you can look at other games that took a long time, and then when they come out, they're baller, right? Like, but I think that just doesn't happen anymore. I think that they don't take time to make the game and make it baller anymore. I think that they just rush it out, and then they're like, we'll patch it and we'll make some updates, maybe make some downloadable content, sell that, like, it's just not the same anymore. And like Grand Theft Auto is actually like the best example because it's not just the gameplay, it's the idea, right? You've got like this game that's a single player game outside of maybe some split screen in action, and then eventually it turns into like this live multiplayer service, right? Where you can almost make microtransactions in it, right? You can like if they come out with Grand Theft Auto 6 tomorrow, right? It's gonna have multiplayer with microtransactions in it. There's
Yeah.
no
I
doubt,
mean, and
right?
like I don't think that
Like
you can get. I think we're at the point now where there's no such game that doesn't have microtransactions into it. Like you're
Yeah.
just not gonna find it. You're
it's a
not gonna
shame
find.
too, because
You're
never used
yeah
to
you're
be
just,
like that. Pay to
yeah
play
you're just
wasn't a thing, right? Like you
yeah.
paid $60, you got the game.
You got the whole
Yeah.
game. You got the here you go,
Yeah.
$60, you got the game, and now it's like it's $100 for the game, but then it's $20 for the DLC that's coming out next month, and then another $20 for the next DLC, and
Got to get the
oh,
Game Pass. If you get the
there's
Game
also
Pass, you get to
maps that are
unlock this
coming
other
out,
stuff. Like, yeah, it's just
and
too
then there's
much.
skins and this and this. Like I think the fact that the game that when you buy it, like that's 40% of the game.
Right.
Yeah, and I think that's like the hardest part about playing games nowadays, and that's why I personally don't really care. Like, I don't even know what the hottest title that's coming out. Not really too worried about it. You know, we all play. The three of us specifically, and most people watching this channel play Magic, so it's not
Yeah,
like
they're crushing
we're
out
really
Magic.
investing that much time into other games, and if we do, we don't take it that serious. So,
Mm.
but at the same time, I think that's that's kind of what those companies make a lot of money, but their games take a hit from popularity and
Yeah.
potentially like a rebuy later down the road, where like like the Madden games are like the best examples. Like those games are literal shit, right? But
Pretty
there's
much, yeah.
people out there who are the whales that spend tons of money on all these stupid sports games that keep them going. But everybody knows Madden sucks. Madden sucks. FIFA sucks. All these games suck that EA makes because they're
Well,
literally just the same shell. And then
Yep.
they don't fix any of the glitches, and all they do is update the roster. That's it. That's all they're doing.
Pretty much, yeah. Well, and the thing that pisses me off the most is now we've reached a point where all the shit's online, and I used to play Madden a lot actually back in the day.
Yeah,
and now that
it was good at one point.
It was. We've reached a point where they can update the rosters on a week by week basis.
Yeah.
So why the hell do they have an annual release of a new game?
Yeah.
I never understood that about sports games. I feel like once you get one game, like you just have like that's it, right?
That should be it. Yeah.
You just get an update, and then your roster's updated, and you just keep going. I never understood the yearly release.
Yeah, buy the $60 game, and then have a subscription service for $5 a month, or $10 a month, or 15 fucking bucks a month, whatever they think is a reasonable price, and then you get connected to all those roster updates. And if they come out with new features, that can be included in your subscription. And you're good. And you don't have Madden 2016, Madden 2021, 2023.
This is going to happen eventually.
You just have Madden.
This happens eventually.
Like next year, will like that will come up.
I'm going to look like a freaking prophet if they do this. And it just makes sense though.
It's not going to happen anytime soon. It's going to happen eventually. The problem is that there's tons of people out there who still buy Call of Duty 35.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Who still buy Madden 38. Right. Like that's the problem, is that until this is like a lot of things in life, until people stop doing it, it's not going to go away. So until EA actually gets hit with the sales hit, then they're going to be like, oh shit, whoa, we can't make Madden anymore. And then what's going to happen is like you're saying, which is the Halo Infinite idea, where they're like, well, we released the game right now in a pretty decent state, but not the best state. But for 10 years, we're going to update this game. So for 10 years, you're going to be able to play this game for quote unquote free or whatever you want out of the game. And that is how those sports titles should be. But that's actually the only way that those sports titles and EA makes money, is that they have to be like, oh, updated graphics, updated stuff. Look, it's brand new again. And it's a shame, because you're right. Like in reality, it's just the same thing over and over again. Nothing's really changing.
It's a turd. It's still a turd.
Yeah, like it's just whatever. And I think eventually it'll stop. But I think that the last couple years is now things have been put into more of the spotlight. And I think everyone that even plays those games, and a lot of people who review games, don't support those shitty games anymore, and aren't just going to take the paycheck, right? To kind of just be like, yeah, that game was great. Yeah, A+. You know what I mean? Like, you do have a lot of people out there that are pretty honest about it, and the players see how good the game is, right? Like at the end of the day, it's up to the players to decide whether or not that game's good. Like Cyberpunk's like the best example where it's like, yeah, that game looks great when it works, but everyone knew right away the game didn't work, so that wasn't gonna fly by anybody. And I think that it's weird because that was the only time that people actually like really crucified it, right? And it kind of goes to tell you how bad of a state that game was when it was released. When there's a lot of games that are released now and aren't even like Sea of Thieves is like embarrassing. Like the game is awesome. No, the game is awesome. Like the gameplay and everything about the game is awesome.
Is really good,
what I'm talking about, the embarrassing part about it is when it first came out. When that game first came out, it was like you're like, why did everybody early access this game?
Yeah.
It's like, how many people bought this game? Like, all these people bought this game. They made all this money, and they didn't even finish the game?
No, that's nuts. No, I was a late comer to Sea of Thieves, and I was like, this is just great. Done. Let's go. Yeah.
I remember getting into Sea of Thieves probably like 4 years ago now. One of the cooks that I used to work with was, him and his brother was huge at it, and I didn't know how to play. And the fact that you could like get a ship, farm, get treasure, get loot, bring it back to the ship, and then like get the ports and stuff. I thought that was really cool. And then you could battle against other ships and stuff, and it's all online. I thought that was really cool.
Oh yeah, no, the whole concept of the game is great. Well, and it rewards you for like, I love it and hate it for a lot of the same reasons. Because it rewards you for being a dickhead.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like being a pirate.
You're a pirate.
Yeah.
You are. It is a pirate simulator. Like if there's another pirate, they have loot, you go kill them and take it. That's just what you do. Yeah. I love that game though. It's super fun. And when I'm with certain crews, like I played with a couple of different crews over the last couple of years, and when I'm with certain crews, we're very bloodthirsty, and like we see a sail on the horizons, like I don't care who it is, we're killing them. Like do they have nothing, or are they just coming out of port? Don't care, we're sinking them. Let's go.
Yeah.
And then I've had other very very peaceful crews where it's like, let's just get some treasure, let's just like rank up a little bit, and let's get some farm some reputation with like gold hoarders or whatever. We're gonna have some fun. This is gonna be fine. And then people are chasing us like, man, these assholes just won't get off our back. What's going on? And I'm like, yeah, I know. Like, man,
I know, right? I'm not like that at all.
Yeah, I've always wanted to play that game. I remember when I first saw it, I thought it looked incredible. And I think where that game probably is now, it's at like its peak where like, it's crushing it. But if you do think about it, think about how long it took for that game to get to now, right? Probably took those 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you still have like so much like unfinished work from all these companies. I think what makes me upset is that like I think people, we're all in the same boat, but everybody just pays for it, right? So of course it lets these companies kind of just keep making games that aren't even done because everyone keeps paying for it, so it doesn't even matter, right? Like your pre-sales are like record breaking, so who cares if the game's done, because you're making that much money. As long as your game isn't as shitty as Cyberpunk was, you're not going to try to get sued by a bunch of people to have to do refunds. Dude, that's like literally what it comes down to, It's and then on top of that, you also have like games have turned into loot boxes where you're like, oh look, the special ultra edition comes with like a Master Chief helmet with ice cream inside, and like it also comes with like 2 skins.
And this.
Yeah, and like, but then what it even comes with isn't even that awesome, right? So you spend like $250, you get like the super awesome ultimate, like rainbow edition, and you're like, oh, this is so sweet, I'm gonna have access to when these maps come out in 8 months, and it's like, oh, this is terrible, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, you spend like $250 and you just don't really get anything out of it, and it just really feels like a loot box.
Dude, I love I love the naked cash grab that is those special editions, especially like I feel like MMOs really get away with it too. Whereas like base game is like $60
really hard, yeah.
And like but if you get the $120 version, you get an exclusive pet.
Yeah.
Like, you're like, really? I gotta get that pet though. You're like, I gotta have that pet. What is it? Best skier. God, I love me some best skier action in Arena. But yeah, I mean that's what it ends up being though. It's just they're just loot boxes. It's And they found a way to like publish like loot boxes in like game form pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
And it's those special editions.
And let's bring this full circle. You know, we've been talking about variety games and everything. Let's bring this back to Magic. We got a new format out. Explorer's been out for a little bit.
Yeah.
It's our version of Pioneer for Arena. Guys, what card would you love to see come to Explorer? Before you even answer, I want to give mine first before anyone else says anything and takes my goddamn card. I need Oath of Nissa. Please give me Oath of Nissa.
Okay. Fair enough. Well, I gotta say, there's a card that we mentioned earlier that I did find that I would love to see in Explorer. I think the Merfolk deck really needs it. Okay. Vidalian War Machine.
Is that the vehicle?
It's not technically a vehicle, but just listen to this. 1 blue for a 0/4 wall. So it has defender by today's standards. And I'm going to read the original text here. Just go with it on our journey here. 0: tap target merfolk you control to allow Vidalian War Machine to attack this turn, as though it didn't have defender, or to give Vidalian War Machine +2/+1 until end of turn. If Vidalian War Machine is put into the graveyard, all merfolk tapped in this manner this turn are destroyed. So you tap 2 merfolks, you've got a 2/5 that can attack. Tap 3 merfolks. All of a sudden, you got 4 power. You're gonna 4/6 coming over. All right, that's something, right? No, still not buying it. Okay, cool. Yeah, no, the card sucks. It's absolutely awful. But but at the same time, I would love to see Wizards put this on Arena, slip it into like a historic anthology or something, and see if anyone notices.
Yeah, it would definitely have to be historic because it's not legal in Pioneer, but it's a Legacy, Vintage, and Commander right now.
Yeah, and it was printed in Fallen Empires.
Yeah,
and it was, for some reason, I can't imagine how this has never seen a reprint. I mean, for real. Anyway, yeah, no, cards trash, but I love it.
For me, oh man, I was almost posted some to Twitter the other day because I really love Explorer. I just really enjoy it so far and just having a blast. For me, the first card right now, the card that I'm just gonna say is Siege Rhino. I'm just gonna say it. I don't know if it's good anymore. I really don't know if it's good anymore, but that card won me a lot of money in real life, and it won me a lot of cards and dual lands and all this other stuff. And I feel like where Explorer is right now, that card might actually have a chance to thrive. When more cards enter, that card has no chance. But for now, I think that where the format's at now, if I was to have a card come in, I would love to have Siege Rhino because I'd really like to see if, one of the best decks right now in Explorer is that Rakdos mid-range deck that's been going around. Everyone's playing it. I wonder if like an Abzan could almost kind of compete with that deck, right? Because white's so strong. Black is obviously a strong color. Green's always good. Maybe, you could have like a Siege Rhino type deck. That life gain, that damage, it's a 4/5. But at the same time, maybe 4 mana 4/5 with trample isn't really where Magic's at. So
I don't think it does enough. And I mean, again, like we already say, it doesn't do enough. But it's like it doesn't. Magic at the point now where one card has to do 3 things. And I think we have a better card right now that is very Siege Rhino-esque. In the Workshop War Chief, right? Comes in, you gain 4 life. If it leaves, you get a 4/4 Trampler. So like you still get it's a 5/3 Trampler, and then you gain 4 life when it comes in, and then when it leaves the battlefield, you get a 4/4 Trampler. When it dies,
it's just a regular token. I think that card's more like a Thragtusk. That's like a lot more similar. I think Rhino is this really weird card where it's just like a lightning helix, right? And that was like the main thing about Rhino was like you could feel like you're in the game.
Oh, that's right, because it loses 3 life. That's right. Yeah, it makes them lose 3 life. That's right. Yeah.
If 2 Rhinos come down, that's like a 12-point life swing.
Yeah.
And the game kind of gets rough, especially with that 5 toughness. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know if it'd be good now, but I think it would be interesting to see it enter where the card pool is lower, where it actually does have a chance to shine. Because against red deck, that card doesn't seem terrible. I mean, it gains you life, and then most of the cards that you're playing in that deck are like Fatal Push and all these other like control-y Thoughtseize cards. So I just feel like that type of card is the exact card that like these 2-for-1 decks would want. On top of that, I mean, you can just play Fabled Passage, play Kiki with it, and just copy it.
Yeah, the Kiki right now is pretty gross, and I don't think Kiki, like original Kiki was ever in standard, right? Like
It was
standard even?
It was.
Was it?
So Kiki Jiki was mostly played. The only times you played Kiki Jiki was in Tooth and Nail because you Tooth and Nailed for it. So you would Kiki Jiki, you'd get that, and then you get either Sundering Titan to blow up all your opponent's lands for the rest of the game, or you would just get Darksteel Colossus and end the game really quickly. So that those are the things you would do is you'd Tooth and Nail, you'd get the Kiki Jiki and the Darksteel, copy the Darksteel, attack for 11 next turn. Obviously, you can kill the Kiki, but the Darksteel's indestructible, so now you have to deal with that. Or I just play Kiki Jiki with the Sundering Titan, it comes down, it blows up 2 of your lands, and then I copy it, it blows up 2 more of your lands, it leaves the battlefield, blows up 2 more of your lands.
Jesus Christ.
So at least that's and
brutal.
that all in standard that used to happen on like turn 4, you'd be able to do that the earliest because Tron, this is when Tron was in standard.
Yeah.
The second time, or second or third time. So Tron was in standard, and you could just like set that up, and then you could start to do that combo. But that was like the only time Kiki got played in standard was because of Tooth and Nail. Once Tooth and Nail rotated, once Mirrodin rotated, it never really got played again. The only time you saw Kiki was some Goblin decks played it and extended in Legacy, and then eventually Kiki got played as like a 1 or 2 of in Twin. But it's a 5 mana card. The difference is this card costs 3 mana. You're getting it at the same time. You're getting it on turn 5. The difference is you have untapped mana.
Yeah, and you could have 2.
Yeah, and you can have 2.
Or 3.
Yeah. Yeah, and it comes into play, and you don't have to spend any more mana investment into it. You draw cards off of it. It automatically gives you a creature when it comes into play that can give you treasures, which is another resource. So I just think that card is just like, that card by itself isn't as broken as what Kiki Jiki does, because Kiki Jiki does it right away.
Yeah.
The most broken part about Fable is when it flips.
Yeah.
The difference is the mana investment and those additional abilities that come with it are really what push that card over the top.
And the turns waited, like you have to wait 3 turns, 2 turns, right?
It'd be 3 turns to activate the Kiki, 2 turns to flip it.
Yeah.
Right. The other thing is it doesn't have haste. That's a big deal. Yeah.
Yeah, that is the
main thing. If it had haste, my goodness. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the big draw of the original Kiki, right? Is like you just play it and you can automatically copy something. And oh yeah, Kiki got played in Birthing Pod. I'm sorry, viewers. I probably missed that one too.
Get him in the comments. Get him in the comments.
That card always gets played in the most broken decks. I think Mengucci said that recently, where he was like, "Why is it that every good deck played Kiki Jiki?" It's like, because that card kind of just does something the game shouldn't do, and you combine it with like cards like Restoration Engine, you make infinite creatures, just kill them, or Birthing Pod, where you can just go get it anytime that you want for consistency. Like, it's an interesting card. Those standards,
or just get cards that just put you in a life total that you can't even compete anymore.
I mean, the Sundering Titan thing was messed up, right? You're just like, oh, go get this card, blow up all your lands. The game's just
over. That's cracked. Yeah.
And most of the time, your best removal is Terror. You can't target the Sundering Titan. You can kill my Kiki, but I still have the Titan left. Like, it's just so...
Dang, dude.
It kind of speaks, though, to how different Magic is, because I don't...
Broken versus combo. Like, I feel like back in the day, the cards were just broken. Just broken. But now, like, the cards now, like, you have to combo off for them to be broken.
The cards are powerful by themselves, right? Like, back then, you would play one card, and it would get you these 2 other cards that did this thing. That's Tooth and Nail, right?
Yeah.
Nowadays, you just play Fable on turn 3, and on turn 4, you can just play another broken 4-drop. And then on turn 5, turn 6, whatever, you can start copying it. So you're already doing what Tooth and Nail used to do, pretty much.
Yeah. Well, and the thing with Fable...
It's like no different.
Yeah, Fable, you can just... I mean, it's funny, the idea of, well, this card just appears in all the good decks. I mean, that's exactly what Fable's doing right now. If the deck has red in the mana base, it just has to have
Fable. You need to play it. Like,
if you're not running Fable, you need to have a damn good reason.
Oh, yeah, you need to have a really good reason to be playing it. And most of the time, you don't really have a reason to not be playing it. Like,
no, there's not, even if every other creature in the entire deck is legendary and you're going to get 0 value out of the
you can splash.
Like even if you're not getting any value out of the reflection of Kiki, even then you can still copy the little treasure goblin that it makes. So
Yeah.
like,
That's
even
the
then,
thing.
there's
It comes in with the
something.
card that it can copy
It-
no matter what. So it's a build.
Yes.
It's a build your own card. It doesn't really
Mhm.
need that card. Literally doesn't need any help at all.
It doesn't need
Yeah, it's
anything
insane.
else, and it
Yeah,
ramps you. Like that goblin
Like it
ramps
ramps it.
you.
Yeah, it
Then
smooths
you
I
things
think
filter
across.
your
It's
deck.
that's
yeah.
actually the most messed up card. So that's the most messed up part about that card is that I've been realizing here the last few days, playing Explorer specifically, is that like I'll be playing against Grace Fang, and you're sitting there worried about the combo, but then they flip Kiki, and it's like, well, now you kind of have to worry about this other card that is
Yeah.
actually a win condition and like a grind you out of the game card by itself. It doesn't even need the combo to win, right?
it can flip advantage so quickly.
Oh
By
yeah.
itself, it just grinds advantage. Like they play it. It's so funny. You know what's really funny about Magic nowadays is that we value cards on what their rate is, the power, toughness, all this other stuff, right? So a lot of people's evaluation on the Fable, your first thing is, oh, it makes a 2/2. Gray Ogres are shit. Gray Ogres are so 1993, right? But in reality, that 2/2 ends up attacking a lot more than you think, and it could end up dealing like 6 to 8 points of damage, making 4 or 5 treasures, ramping you. And then if you're on the other side of it, you feel like an idiot because their 2/2 goblin that doesn't even seem that threatening is doing 100 things, and then their card actually flips, and then now everything's a problem. And it's kind of funny because on face value, when you look at it, it doesn't seem like a crazy card. But
Mhm.
then now, after the Pro Tour and after this much time has passed, it's obvious that that card is really nuts. It's doing a lot. It's doing a lot for
It
three
does
mana.
a lot, and it's like we said, like it's where one card is doing what 4 things. It
Yep.
creates 2 bodies. It filters for you. It creates treasures, and it draws out removal.
Yeah,
Right.
it takes cards out of their hand. It's a 3 for 1 or
Yeah.
more by itself, right?
Oh yeah, no, I know I run it in like reanimator shells where the main value that I get is on chapter 2, being able to discard stuff. I
Yeah.
love it when my opponent runs out generic kill spells to get rid of the little treasure shaman or the fable or the reflection, the Kiki Jiki.
Yeah, you're like, yeah, you got to get
Like,
rid of this
yep,
treasure thing.
yeah, I mean, you have to kill
I'm
it.
either going to
Yeah.
ramp into what I want to, or I'm going to reanimate.
That's the
Well,
problem.
and the
It
other thing
gives
is
your
if I have
deck
a
too
Titan
many
of Industry in my
strategies.
graveyard, like
Mm,
I'm gonna return upon the Titan of a Titan in the Industry and then copy it immediately.
yeah.
Oh,
Like
that was
nobody's gonna let that
nuts.
happen.
I did
Yeah.
that recently, and that was like I did that in our teamer. You can find that deck here on the channel, but I did that
Love it.
recently in our teamer where I got the Titan down, I cast it. I had already the Kiki Jiki. My opponent end steps, goes to kill the Titan. I copy the Titan, just put a shield counter on the old Titan.
Mhm.
And then they were just like, they just scooped because they were just like, oh, I guess you can do that. And it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, like
Sure can.
Fabled's kind of just like a really, the most messed up part about the text on that card is until the end of your next turn.
Yeah,
Mhm.
your next turn.
So you can instant speed copy the card, and then on your turn you can copy it again and have 2 of them. Like,
yeah.
last time I was messing around with Hullbreaker. I had Izzet, so I had Fable with Hullbreaker. I had 2 Hullbreakers down, and then I just played like 3 spells and bounced my opponent's whole board in one. In the same turn, I played like a Goldspan too, and just like, yeah, it was crazy. That card
Dude,
makes
that's
the
nuts.
game. That card ends the game. That is why it's so important, and it also. I don't want to get into this type of talk, but I don't know if it's like the type. You already know where I'm going. I don't know if it's like the type of card you would want to ban because the impact of that card is that every deck plays it, and
Yeah,
it makes it so that like Greasefang isn't really like a crazy deck by any means, but at the same time, I'm using that deck as an example where that deck is doing something linear and absurdly powerful. But once
on turn 3.
target, yeah, but once turn 2, you can win with that deck. But
Yeah.
the thing about it is that if you're interacting with that deck and you have answers for it, and that's all the deck does. All the deck's doing is comboing. Really easy to attack that deck, right? A lot easier. They can still probably
Yeah.
get you if they know how to pilot it correctly, but a lot easier for you to handle it. Greasefang is a lot harder to deal with when you have to kill these dinky cards that run away with the game if you don't kill them.
Sure.
Right? So I ran into that last night actually when I was streaming. I was really angry at myself because I tapped out. I was like, oh yeah, play Annex for the Embercleave, right? And instead it was like, oh, I needed to, hold up, remove, or whatever just to interact. And
Yeah.
it really puts you in that position where it's like, well, should I kill the Fabled or should I wait to kill the Greasefang? And it's like, well, all they have is Fabled out, so they're not really doing anything. And then, of course, it gets back to their turn. They discard the Parhelion, and then they kill me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, that, it should have been obvious, but it wasn't. And a lot of it is because you're so worried about what your opponent's doing at that time that you forget about what their main way of winning is.
Yeah,
and that's what Fable does.
You just lose out. You're not even really paying attention to it. You're like, yeah, it's gonna keep playing. I'll get there eventually, and then it's like, no, you won't.
Yeah, eventually is this card's already 8 for 1.
Yeah, and I mean, you mentioned the B word, and when it comes to bannings, though, like, I feel like we need to look at the format holistically, and I don't think Standard's in a bad spot. Like, Fable's one of those.
Honestly,
the best Standard that
we've
had in a long time.
I think Standard is definitely 110% in its best form. Because, I mean, you really can pick up any deck and still get wins.
Any style, too.
Especially if that deck has fight rigging in it.
Yeah, exactly.
And keep in mind, for people who are, like, listening in, that a good deck isn't like, I was to say, yes, a good deck is with an 80% win rate, but a really good deck, the average deck is 55 to 65, 60. That's your win rate. If you're winning a little more than half your games, that's a good deck.
Yeah. So if you're looking at your stats, and I think to piggyback off that, another point that I would really like to make to anybody out there who is looking at their win rates, especially on various deck trackers, again, Untapped, hit us up. You're gonna see 55. You're gonna see between 45 and 55 a lot. It's not uncommon for your decks to be falling in that range. If you've brewed a deck if you've come up with your own take on a certain card or a combo, and you're getting a 50% win rate with it, that's pretty impressive. To be playing something off meta and hit that 50% win rate mark, take that as a win, believe it or not. Like, it may not feel that way in the moment, especially if you're keeping an eye on social media and you're seeing, people post their pictures
33 and 2.
33 and 2. 89% this deck can't lose.
I've gone on those streaks
all the time. Yeah.
Cam's gone on those streaks. Hollywood's gone on those streaks. But you know what? What we don't show? There are those streaks where we go 0 and 40.
Yeah. Oh, those happen too.
I mean, you go on my Untapped
those
right
happens
now.
Too.
It's like that. Like, you can see what deck I probably made a video of, because you'll see it'll be like 03, 03, 01, and it'll be like 5 and 1. I'll be like, okay, we did it. Right. And then then the next two will be like, oh, this deck shit the bed. I mean, even I picked up and I went like 0 and 3 with it on the ladder. That's a deck that you would think you automatically, anybody that sees that deck, oh, I hate that deck. That deck's so messed up. Blah 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 blah. Well, I mean, why don't you pick it up, right? Like that's the thing. Is like, you have to remember, like, you may think that a deck is like baller and is doing all this other stuff, but that when you try it, if you're not even like an experienced player or have enough like knowledge in all kinds of different formats, all kinds of different decks, cards, like, you're gonna struggle. You're not gonna go into it crushing it, right? Like,
some decks don't even care about the cards. It's all about the pilot and how you play it. Because there's decks out there that are incredibly hard to play, like the Golgari Food deck in Historic. That deck is hard to play.
You'll go to time playing that deck.
You'll go to time
easy
a lot, because there's so many decisions that deck makes that it's not an easy deck to play. I've watched several people, content creators play that deck. People like Nerdy Steve and Zan. I'm almost positive Zan's actually the creator of that deck. And that, like, just watching them play it and be like, you can do this and you can do this, and it's really ticky tacky, where you're getting in that one damage every now and then, and you're just making a block, doing this and doing that. But like, it's a hard deck to play, and sometimes those decks are it's about the pilot. It's not. There's decks out there they're like, oh man, this deck is an 80% win rate deck, and then you pick it up and you win maybe 3 games out of the 10 you've played.
Absolutely. Another great example of that is there's a Jeskai combo deck in Standard right now, running Goldspan Dragon and Show of Confidence.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was trying to pull that combo off on stream, having watched the deck be played. Like, I've
Go off.
seen the deck.
Watch the
I've
deck
watched it go off. I
absolutely
know
go
exactly what
off.
it's trying to do. You
Yeah.
know, I know exactly what it's trying to do and how we're supposed to set that up. And even so, I still struggled with that thing. And it's like, I know if I put the reps in, I could get there, but I don't know. I'm probably not going to do that. Let's be honest. But I tried, man. I tried. One of my viewers was really trying to make it work, and so I was like, well, let's go for it. Let's see if we can figure this out. And when it pops, it's great. Man, that deck looks fantastic when it goes off, but
when it doesn't,
it does not. Yeah.
Yeah. It does not.
Yeah, I'll tell you right now, when you show confidence for like 3 on an Ashmouth Dragon, and you go, man, I really wish that was a Goldspan. And I really wish I had 3 more spells this turn. It's like, nope, but you just don't. And it's, you know.
And sometimes you just find those lamp pockets, and you're like, yep, we're done here.
That's that. But yeah, but yes, some decks are very, very difficult to pilot. It's true. So it does. And some decks you may find easier to pilot than others. It's the other thing, like,
find your groove, find your colors, find your colors.
Yes, you may be a control mage, and maybe you're trying to play aggro, and it's just not working for you.
Yeah,
you know?
And like you just
mix it up.
That's the one thing that took me a long time to figure out is finding your colors. What color do you? Each color does a specific thing. As much as people will argue against it, each color has its thing. And once you find out what your game plan, like what your game style is, finding that color and then finding the deck for you. Like if you're you might be a control player, but you're probably not an Azorius control player. Maybe you're a Dimir control player, or maybe you're a Jeskai control player, or maybe you're a Simic Flash control player. Like there's just so many different types of control or aggro, whatever have you, and you have to find that.
Absolutely. Well, and once you find your groove, it feels great.
Yeah.
Like, because at the end of the day, like, I am like combo with aggro. That's what I do. That's why if you look at all the decks I've been building, they're variations on hammer time and fight rigging.
Yeah.
It's like, I want to do some kind of weird way to cheat really big things out way faster than they should be there. That's also why I like reanimation stuff, because it's cheating out big dumb stuff really, really fast. That makes me very happy, because it's this combination of Johnny the combo player and Timmy the power gamer kind of smashed together, and I love that crap. Can't get enough of it. And now that I know that, like, let's go. Let's lean into that, you know? Yeah. I try to be well-rounded, but at the end of the day, I really just want to slap a hammer on something on turn 2. It just feels so good.
Oh yeah, faux show. Let's just talk about one more thing here real quick. We actually went over our top 10. I think it feels like almost 2 months ago now, right?
It's something like that.
Wait,
now new Capenna?
Yeah, new Capenna. Man, so many Magic cards have probably been printed since then. Well, let's go over our top 10 real quick and actually how we did. So let's take a look here. Give me 1 second. Okay, so our top 10. So we had Agnes at 10. So far, haven't seen that card. Still believe in it.
I actually have Agnes the Dragon Slash. I have Agnes in a 5-color Meeting of the 5 deck, and it is powerful in the right shell. I'm not saying that shell is particularly powerful, but Agnes is a cool card with some good jank potential. But yeah, no, you're right. It's not making any tournament moves.
Yeah, shout outs to Agnes with Jenny Faye. HGG, hello, good game. Was in my chat telling me about that when I was building a Jenny Faye deck as well, and that's kind of like a nice little type of combo.
I did that. I'm still a big fan of the card. Especially if you can give all your creatures haste, then everything you attack with makes a treasure. Yeah,
no, the Jenny Faye Agnes combo is especially sweet because, like, I attack with those hasters, and then I create a bunch of hasters that can attack to create a bunch more hasters.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. Yeah.
Our next card on the list was Zeotora. So far, Zeotora has not gotten played in any competitive decks either. But it's a powerful card. Still has time to grow. I'm sure you've probably seen it somewhere in Commander out there, viewers. So
yeah, I just posted an Explorer deck featuring Zeotora on my YouTube channel. Just throw that out
definitely
there.
Check that out. Go to Hamhawk's YouTube channel. Check out that awesome Zeotora deck.
I love it. It involves Galta. Because
Yeah.
throwing a 12/12 dinosaur at your opponent's face feels really good.
Yeah, that's
Anyway,
pretty good.
just saying.
But yeah, any other thoughts on Ziatora overall? How
No,
we feel about
I
this?
think we
Yeah.
definitely.
Kind of like in the middle.
I think that was a flavor pick for us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The next card on the list we had Reservoir Kraken so far. Not getting played. I don't know if it's
No.
just that it costs a little bit, maybe 4 mana might be too much, but I mean 6/6 trample Ward 3, I believe, or is it no Ward 2,
Ward
sorry.
2, Ward 2.
Ward 2, and then your opponents have to tap it down with the creature, but then you also get a 1/1 unblockable. Whenever I played the card, it was fantastic. Probably one of the best cards I had in the deck. I just feel like it hasn't really caught on. Would you guys say that?
I would agree.
Yeah, no, I think it's a very strong card, especially against decks that don't have many creatures, because they don't want to be if they can't tap it down, you just have a 6/6. It's hard to kill for 4 with trample.
Yeah, like I really feel
you're
like
just gonna
this
crush
is
it
like
in.
I really feel like this is a card that was like meant for historic, because like especially like imagine going against Jeskai Control that they don't have the creatures to tap down. And you just come in with a reservoir, really good. But again, like it's underused.
Yeah.
Next card on the list, I think the three of us could say we're really huge fans of this card still.
Totally.
The problem is with this card is that when we were evaluating this card, we were still thinking that Deadly Dispute type decks were going to be reigning on the format, because let's remember, these decks had been out since almost standard 2022 or 20. Was it standard 22? Yeah, standard 2022, and we expected them to still be good, right? These like snow decks, or had even turned into just Orzhov mid-rangey type decks, but it ends up being that so far there isn't a deck that's trying to do a Deadly Dispute type of thing. On top of that, I think what is actually holding Little Chat back is that treasure token.
Yeah,
Right.
and I think looking back, Deadly Dispute, you can sacrifice the blood token, like a shitty artifact that you just don't need, and you get to draw 2 cards and make a treasure. Where versus Little Chat, you actually had to sacrifice a legit, like a creature on board.
Right. Yeah, and there's still good synergy there, but I think Little Chat belongs in a deck that maybe doesn't have access to Deadly Dispute, and that deck just doesn't exist right now.
Yeah.
iTwitch lost a lot of value. I think the problem is that the format has turned really mid-rangey, so you actually want to have access to all your sideboard cards, right? Whereas before you had a little bit of leeway, there was a lot less decks to worry about, so you could focus half of your sideboard just on that 1 or 2 bad matchup, and then have those 4 or 5 other cards in your sideboard you can go get with your iTwitch. But now that value isn't really worth it, because those cards you're getting aren't as powerful as some of the other grindier cards in the format. And I think that that not only is it holding iTwitch down, but it's holding the card that we picked here, Little Chat, in terms of it not getting played.
Fair.
Our next card here is actually a good, nice little alley-oop. We had Shakedown Heavy. This card combos with our next card, Fight Rigging.
Man, Fight Rigging is so good.
Yeah, Shakedown is you pretty much getting played in all the Fight Rigging decks. Fight Rigging is actually like a really powerful card. I think the best Fight Rigging deck is an Explorer right now, just because you're able to combo off on turn 3. We also got a video for that on the channel, so definitely check that out. But I think that Fight Rigging is having a lot more impact in older formats where you have redundancy in your Shakedown Heavies, because you have these other 3 mana cards that have huge power, so you're able to get the Fight Rigging off. Whereas in Standard, besides the video we had about the Explorer Fight Rigging, I actually had one on Standard Sultai, and the main thing about that, it played Kraken and Shakedown just to be able to have the creatures for that 6 power. But if you look at Explorer, like, you have all kinds of other options, right?
Oh yeah.
You basically want to have Explorer has the ability to have a 7 or 6 power creature out on turn 2, because your most of them are they're 3 mana cost. Like you have your Regisaur, your Shakedown, and what's the third one?
I think those are the only ones that they're playing.
Oh no, in Explorer, no, it's Ronus. Ronus you can get out on turn
Oh
2.
yeah.
Yeah, Bronus is 5 though. Ronus is a 5/5. So
Ronus
you're
is
not
5,
you're not
but-
getting it out like
Yeah.
Well,
you're not getting your
and-
rigging off, but I agree like you're getting a huge body at a discount, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and in Love Struck Beast also.
Yeah, Love Struck Beast is
Yeah.
another one that we've
It's
seen
the
get
same role.
played with it. Yeah.
Mhm.
So like you get those on turn 2, turn 3 you're playing fight rigging, and then turn 4 you now have 2 counters on a creature that needs to be removed, or fight rigging needs to go, or it's going off the next turn.
Yeah, and then if Shakedown's a card where you can avoid the damage by letting your opponent draw the card.
Mhm.
But listen, drawing a card's the most powerful thing in the game. If anything, I'm taking that 6 and trying to kill that card.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to just keep giving my opponent free cards every single turn. And then if you're not killing that 6/4, eventually it's going to be there. And you're actually not, like, you've lost to the 6/4 without the 6/4 ever having to deal you damage.
Yeah.
Right.
That's how powerful that
Because,
card is,
yeah,
right?
because you basically lost on card advantage.
Yeah, their
Mhm.
other cards are powerful, right? So you're synergizing, and yeah, if in that fight rigging deck, I mean, you can go turn 1 Lana War, turn 2 fight rigging, turn 3 shakedown combo into the Titan, and kind of just be like going off super crazy, right? Like there's so much like between those 2 cards, fight rigging specifically, fight rigging has just done a lot of awesome stuff. I've had so much fun with that card, but I think that we need one more card printed. I'm not saying we really need it, but if we want fight rigging to be playable in standard, I think we're just missing one more card with 6 power.
I wonder if we're gonna explore like a fight rigging deck with you have to do Sultai again, so you could run Emergent Ultimatum again.
Oh no,
That would be gross.
No, all runs. You just play all runs.
Yeah.
You just take other turns. You almost don't
Well,
even
and-
need to play the ultimate. Well, you could. Oh, this sounds like so
the other
dirty.
thing about fight rigging that is absolutely shattered busted is when the way that Hideaway is worded, when you play the card, you are
Yeah.
casting the spell.
You cast it, yeah.
So if you hit an Ulamog off this,
Ulamog, yep.
you get the Annihilator. If you hit Zakama off this, you get to untap all your lands. If you get Tarask off this, it has the haste and ward. Like there's so many huge things that are designed to not be cheated into play that can be cheated into play with this.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Our next card was a
Our next card was a bit of a
absolute
flop.
flop.
So we had
Unfortunate.
Luxior. This was the equipment that you can put on planeswalkers, and essentially the creature gets +1/+1 additionally for each type of counter that the creature has. It's just kind of.
I've gone up against this card a couple of times on the ladder, and it has smoked me a number of times. And like when it is on an Elspeth or a Wandering Emperor, like it feels unfair, but at the same time, like very few people are playing it.
Yeah.
Like it's just, I think that situation is just too inconsistent to set up.
Too Christmas land.
It's too Christmas land. We don't have a consistent way of getting our planeswalkers. You're kind of like, you just have them in hand, or you just happen to draw them. There's no like real good tutor effects. Like there's Search for Glory, I think, right? That gets a legendary spell.
Mm-hmm.
But like that's about it.
Honestly, it's to me, it's the fact there's no 2-drop planeswalker. So, Omnixus costs 3 mana, but the problem with Omnixus is if you want to get the full value is you have to sacrifice your creature, right? So you're leading up to the curve. I think it's broken as it sounds. I think if we had a 2-mana planeswalker, you have a higher, and it puts counters or something like that, you actually have a chance of seeing Luxior get played more, because you could start off with Luxior, turn 2 planeswalker, turn 3, equip the Luxior, play another 2-drop, and then it feels like you're like really ahead, right? But I think that's kind of like what's lacking is the fact that like, you're right, like Elspeth and Wandering Emperor look great on it, but Wandering Emperor specifically is already like a really great card by itself. So I mean,
doesn't need any help. Yeah,
it doesn't need to be attacking. I mean, it makes attackers. You don't really need to be doing all these extra things. And on top of that, like I said, the planeswalkers exist cost too much mana, right? Like, when are you getting that Elspeth combo off? Like turn 6 or 7? I mean, you're probably dead by then if your deck isn't doing anything absurdly powerful. All the cards do like 4 or 5 things now. I mean.
right.
I'm not like barely even exaggerating. I'm like exaggerating to a certain degree, but there are cards like Kikijiki's that does like 4 or 5 things.
Yeah,
like,
Kiki-Jiki does like 4 or 5 things. Invoke Despair is just a straight 4-for-1.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
it's insane.
Yep.
Like,
So you gotta have like a 1 mana artifact. Sounds great, but if it ain't doing shit, unless you have like these support cards that cost 4 or 5 mana, I mean,
That
the
ain't doing
turn
shit.
disparity between 1 and 4 and 5 is way too
Right.
much. You're not doing anything,
Yeah.
you know.
so what you're saying is, in order for Lexior to really shine, and Wizards, I hope you're listening, we need Tybalt Fiend-Blooded back in Standard.
2 mana planeswalker.
2 mana
Shut
Planeswalker.
your-
Let's go.
Shut your mouth. Next card, please.
Oh, let's get to the next card. I'm excited to talk about this one. This one is like
This one is your hitter.
I
This
hate
one is your
seeing this
hitter.
card across the table. I see it all the time. It is like my least favorite card nowadays. But I called it. I told Hammer the first time we talked about this card on one of our spoiler videos. I was like, I'm going to seriously hate this card because it has 4 toughness, it has ward, it draws cards, it puts counters, it ends the game by itself. It's just such a. I still think this card's messed up.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna take it back. I really still think this card's messed up. I mean,
This card
I
is-
called it
this card is
Uro.
fair.
I told Ham, I was like, this is just Uro. All it does is like it draws you cards, it blocks, it gains you life pretty much, it has ward, it flies. I mean, the card just does.
It does a
I
lot.
wasn't surprised when I saw it. What surprised me when I saw the card was that people were playing the type of deck that I said they should be playing, which is like Luminarch Aspirant into Rafine. Because
Yeah.
Luminarch Aspirant
Right.
makes your cards like unbeatable. And then
Pretty
Rafine
much.
on top of that like really gives you a serious clock on turn 3, right? Like
Yeah.
this card. Oh
Just
god,
pump
I
up
hate
the
this
fiend
card
to
so
protect
much.
the fiend. Like that's just like that was it. That's the game.
Yeah, and if they even protect it, if they counter your spell that's trying to kill it, like I don't know. I saw this card and thought it was busted, and yeah, it's made its own. It turned the Esper Planeswalker deck into just a Rafine tempo deck, pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
I
No,
think
the
this
card's
card's
phenomenal.
busted. I was
I don't
glad
think anybody
that.
can argue against it. Yeah, the card's great.
Yeah, I was glad I at least saw
Another
that
next
real
card.
quick. Yeah, next
Another
card.
banger.
Yeah, the next card we have is actually really awesome as well. Titan Industry. Just a card that the 3 of us actually definitely unanimously were just like, yeah, this card's messed up.
Yeah, this guy's great.
And yeah, I mean, you see it in standard fight rigging decks play it because that's the best thing you can cast for free. Reanimator decks play it because it's the best thing to get out. Like,
Yeah,
See it
ramp
in
decks
Historic,
play it because it's a 7 drop in
Ramp decks
the
are
best
playing
thing-
it. You see it in Historic, you see it in Explorer. This
Mhm.
card is it's great. Yeah, it's great.
it's
card.
one of the
fact
best
that
like
it
top ends
creates
ever
2
printed.
bodies. It creates 2. It can have 2 bodies, or it protects itself, or destroy an artifact or an enchantment. So it's a removal spell. Or if you're low on life, you're gonna gain some more life. Like it's just the card's great.
You know
And
why
with the
it's
7/7
really good?
reach and trample, so whether you're blocking or attacking, it's great. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You know why it's really good though? It blows up Fable.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's the main thing about this card is that it kills a creature pretty much, whether it's flipped or not. You can blow up that
Yeah.
artifact or enchantment. But yeah, Titan and Rafine, we definitely got in there. Our next card, our number 1 card.
Yeah,
I'm
no,
still,
I apologize, community, right now before I see these comments and stuff. I'm sorry. Yes, I know.
You made a bold prediction though. Gotta give you kudos
Honestly,
for that.
like the card is still nuts. I just think it yes, okay, it's not it's not on Oko's level.
If control is more of the meta, I think that the
Yeah.
card has more of a place. But the problem with the card is that it's not that good against decks with creatures.
Yeah.
And that's actually all that standard is right now is mid-range
Standard
creature
is
decks.
mid-range creatures, yeah.
Yeah, so like Ob Nixilis, just like I think the main thing is that you have to sacrifice a permanent play, and having things in play is so important right now that
Yeah.
for you to get a
You
planeswalker,
need
like,
blockers. Yeah.
it's just I really thought that the card was really busted as well. I didn't think that it was gonna get banned. I was mostly just like, it's really strong, and it makes certain strategies a lot stronger. I think, in my opinion, what really kills the card is the opponent's choice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you can choose when taking damage or just
When to take damage or when to exactly. It's like I have an extra land, I can lose this, or shit, I can just take 2 life, whatever. I can take 2 life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I think the card is capable of putting the screws to your opponent in an interesting way. It does apply some pressure to their resources, but it's just easy. It's easier to answer than I
Yeah.
would have guessed.
Yeah.
It's much easier to answer than I would have guessed.
Yeah, if you told me you can get 2 planeswalkers on turn 3, and then they make tokens, and they have the potential to make your opponent lose life, discard cards, I'd be like, yeah, let's go. 2 of them? Okay. But, you know, the more that... I just remember...
And we still have, like, these control decks still have Burn Down the House that just, like, demolish. And then because of Omnixilus, cards like Shadow's Verdict, like, just, like, came out of the fucking woodwork everywhere.
Oh, between Obnixilus and Tenacious Underdog. Oh, yeah. Shadow's Verdict is everywhere.
What I'm going to say about Obnixilus, I'm going to make a bold claim now. This card gets played more after rotation. I think what holds this card back is that there's a lot... Is the current standard. So once you see a lot of these other cards leave, I really do believe there's even some cards on our list that you'll end up seeing more. Obnixilus specifically, I'm saying right now, when rotation happens, I expect to see it a little bit more. And if there's control, I really guarantee to be able to see it, because this card is straight gas against control with Tenacious Underdog.
Yeah, for sure.
That's like the combo, right? Like your turn 1 discard spell, turn 2 Underdog, hit them for 3 on turn 3, and then sack it to double Obnixilus. And then the control deck feels really bad, right? Because it's like a permanent type that's a little bit harder to deal with. So
yeah,
I think that right now, the presence of Kaldheim, and then some of the cards from Neon Dynasty, and even some cards from this set, are definitely making it so that, specifically even Rafine, right? Because Rafine flies and Obnixilus doesn't kill a card. I think that that's actually the type of stuff that's holding it back. But once rotation happens, and if we see a lot less of these decks and control starts to take a hold, then yeah, Obnixilus is probably going to start to take over and have more of a better impact. And then by then we might be calling for a ban. But I think for now, it's like... it's really good, but it's a sideboard card for now. That's all.
Yeah, like it hasn't found the right deck for it yet. You know, like we've been playing with it now for a month or so, a little more than a month. But I don't think we found the quite right deck for it, because it can't really go in mid-range strategies. It can't be in an aggro. It can't be in a burn deck. It can't be... I don't know.
I mean, the Rakdos sacrifice list can use it, but it's like a 2, maybe 3 of. Like, it's definitely a nice to have. It's not.
It's not a 4 of. Like we.
Yeah, it's not a 4.
Like I thought.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I thought too, man. I was with you. I mean, yeah, I thought the card was going to be pretty.
I tried to be a little bit more restraint on it. My main thing was I just thought that like red-black sacrifice would be an automatic tier 1 deck, and the deck is pretty much like a tier 1 deck, but surprisingly they don't, sometimes they don't really care too much about the ob.
Yeah.
It's not, it wasn't the card that pushed that deck over the top. It's not an artifact. It needed...
No,
probably just
it was the only called Anvil all along. Who knew?
Yeah, the Anvil, the oven.
Right, yeah, that's our standard oven, exactly.
Yeah. But yeah,
guys, what a time we've had today. What a time.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, we went over our top 10. Essentially we got to tell you, the viewers, a little bit more about us. I know that we actually ranted and raved about quite a different amount of topics today, but this is pretty much what we're going to be going for here with this podcast. Just kind of, a little bit more personal, talking about things that are like on our mind, opinions, and then kind of going over like things related to MTG as well. So if you enjoyed what we talked about today, please let us know in the comments. If there's other things that you would like for us to talk about, definitely drop that down below as well. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. That's always free and greatly helps us out so much. Definitely leave a like as well. Check out all of our content. You can find all of Hamhawk's and Hearsay's, mine as well, down below in the description. Don't forget, 3 tournaments a month. Not this Sunday, but the Sunday after, the 12th of June, we're going to have our first Explorer tournament. So definitely jump in on that. We really, really appreciate you making it this far into the video, and I hope that you enjoy the rest of the weekend. Stay safe and stay cheesy.